Nice.
All right. I can't hit record.
I think we're good. We're ready to go.
Okay. Cool. Everybody ready?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2. Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 359, recorded on January 20th, 2022. On tonight's episode with special guests Nick and Sean from Game Pass News, we discuss game release. Screw it. We're here to talk about Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, aren't we? Jesse, you know what to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever takeover of the Nintendo Dads podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're excited to announce we have also been acquired by Microsoft, and it is now the Xbox Dads episode 1. Thanks for subscribing to us. You get Game Pass for free, and you get Game Pass for free.
Game Pass for everybody.
Game Pass for everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, I digress. My name is Justin Masson, host of today's Dumpster Fire of a show. But man, am I excited to be here, because I believe this week may have been one of the biggest absolute video game moments in history. Not at all involving Nintendo. They just sat around and stared aimlessly at Xbox. But wow, what a week it was. And I'm excited because today we've got some amazing special guests to break down that news. Now, of course, my regular mainstays of Tim and Jesse are here. Jesse, say hi.
Greetings.
Tim, say goodbye.
See ya.
And joining me, the two gentlemen from the Game Pass News, Sean Abbott and Nick Metzger. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Take it first, Sean. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm cold, but I'm hiding in the kitchen. It's 3:15 in the morning, so yeah.
Early morning for you. Nick, how are you keeping?
Hey, man, I am doing fantastic. I'm super excited to be here chatting about this acquisition. And, I just want to let you know, your Patreons, if you saw on Twitter, think you're worth $70 billion, too.
Wow.
So Mecha says $70 billion if he had it. There you go. He would acquire you guys.
I just lost Nick's mic there. He said, Mecha said, and he went.
Oh, really? Am I back? Am I here?
Yeah, you're back now.
You're still here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually thinking about changing our Patreon goals. Right? I'm going to say, guys, hey, listen, patrons, listen. All right.
You want to get a $70 billion?
If you guys had done just a little bit more, we could have bought Activision. All right. I mean, I'm just saying, right? I'm now Phil Spencer's got him. You don't know what they're going to do with it. Probably just run it to the ground. Right? We could have done some amazing stuff. All right, gentlemen, I digress, but I do want to throw it back to Jesse. I felt bad. I just shamed you and I said, say hi, Jesse. How was your week?
Pretty good. Weird week. I mentioned last week I had Monday and Tuesday off, so I only worked 2 days this week, but they were like the longest 2 days because we had pretty much had 4 days worth of meetings crunched into 2.
Yeah.
And so quick funny story. My wife decided she found a recipe for like hard candy that she wanted to make. Mm-hmm. And it requires to be heated to 300 degrees. But the only thermometer we had was a meat thermometer.
Oh,
they don't go up to 300 degrees.
Oh,
they only went up to 220. So she kind of guessed.
If you have 3 of them, can you not add it all together?
I was just thinking that you just take them together. You know what I'm saying? Just take a couple of meat thermometers together.
Anyway, so instead of it being a hard candy, it was more of like a gummy.
All right.
It still tasted pretty good, but just didn't quite work out. So what do I see in the my Amazon cart the next day? Candy thermometer.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Well, good. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you're always behind the keyboard, making their dreams come true, and I appreciate you. Timothy Alf, how are you?
I'm doing excellent here. We're just excited to talk about all this Game Pass stuff and the news and what it's going to mean for us and Nintendo fans and all that fun stuff.
Spoiler alert, not a lot, but we're going to talk about that later, of course. Well, good. Yes. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. Yeah. I somehow convinced my children to take the dog for a walk today. My wife had to head out for an appointment she had this evening, and she was like, "Oh, you should take the dog for a walk." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." And I came back, and the kids were like, "I guess we're taking the dog for a walk." And I was like, "How did I just get out of this?" And they took the dog for a walk, and I was like, like I felt like somehow I won. Do you know what I mean? Like I had tricked the children, and it worked. And now they're listening to this live, and I'm like, "Haha, hey, I tricked you. You took the dog for a walk. How do you like them apples, huh?"
Or they tricked
Morgan?
you.
No, they definitely didn't. They did not want to take the dog for a walk at all, So, all right.
Nice.
I see some people in the chat here jumping in, tuning in for the Business Justin panel discussion. Yes, absolutely. Nintendo Dads meets Bloomberg's News Network. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a person who hates the Business Justin conversation, here's what I'm going to say to you right now. Turn your episode off. Have a great day. Come back next week because it is going to be a lot of business talk, but I'm excited to jump in it. But nonetheless, let's digress, jump right into our news, will we?
Oops.
Oh, come on. And today's show is brought to us by Manscaped, but I'm going to talk about that later. And of course, our amazing folks over at patreon.com. Hey, if you're interested in joining our crazy community of content creators that have some amazing podcasts, much like Game Pass News, head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, whereas for as little as $1 a month, you can jump in and join us and join the Game Pass News conversation that Nick and Sean host every single week as well. All right, gentlemen. Everyone's here for the big show that is the Xbox acquisition. There is actually some Nintendo things that we're going to get through in about a total of like 5 minutes is what we're going to do. Because maybe you did come here. You're like, I don't care about Xbox. Give me my Nintendo news. We're going to give it to you in like 5 minutes, and then we're going to move on. All right.
Just to be clear, though, if this acquisition didn't happen, these would be kind of, like, I mean, they're not like Nintendo Direct announcements, but they're pretty decent announcements this week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there was some stuff.
Then there was an acquisition. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim, help.
Sorry.
Yeah, you should be, Sean. This really was your fault. Right? Absolutely was. Tim, help me break down some of the major Nintendo news that we should know about this week.
Absolutely. So some of the Nintendo news is basically all on releases that came up that we got a lot through Twitter. One of those being Banjo-Kazooie is now out, released today. On NSO and expansion pack. And not only that, they also announced the next NSO expansion pack game, which is coming out in February, and that's The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Ooh.
So that's, I guess, one.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the big news. Screw it. We're not talking about Activision anymore. We're just talking about Majora's Mask. Looks like they stole the week.
That's right. With both Banjo-Kazooie and Majora's Mask. So, but I mean, there's that news. And guess what? We got a release date for Star Wars Skywalker Saga.
We did. What is that release date?
April 5th.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that was, that's a mic drop right there.
That is. Again, good night. Good night, folks. Hey, before we transition this, here's a question I have. Banjo-Kazooie's out. Legend of Majora's Mask is coming next month. Has Nintendo just ran out of room now all of a sudden on that, like the runway that is the N64 games? Like what now do they have left? Because they've just done it all.
They listed like 6 or 8 games in the coming soon list, but they knocked out the top 2 already.
What the hell are you talking about?
I was surprised that they didn't wait until the end. I kind of half joked.
They need to do this. They need to do this.
I kind of half joked before that Banjo would probably be out in September, so you'd have to resub in October in order to continue to play it.
Yeah.
No, I think Tim's right. There's a big backlash. They needed to come out swinging and get these games that everybody wanted this subscription for out ASAP. So yeah, I'm glad they did it.
And then it also could be, if these are getting out of the way, what else is coming?
And you know what? I actually hear rumor, nothing. Yeah, nothing at all. That sounds about right.
Yeah. They could drop Double Dash. That'd be all right to drop.
Double Dash was for GameCube, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's
we're all just to the Xbox guys.
I'm going home.
Good morning. Good
I
morning.
like that We Play game. Can we get that for the N64?
I thought maybe you were going with, something else, but all right, that works.
Hey, we could do a little Perfect Dark. That would be something.
Yes,
That would be.
Yeah.
that was one of the rumors was along with GoldenEye. So, and of course, that's on my prediction list for this year.
Yeah. I think the other trick of it is just like, how do you get controllers? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
hey, look at these amazing games. Haha. And you're like, oh, I'm so excited to play it. And you're like, I can't get a controller because I did not decide to purchase it when they first came available. So when do I have to wait? Right.
Why can't you just play it with a regular Joy-Cons?
Why don't you just like get out of here?
I hear it's really crappy. I don't know if that's true. I have not tried it, but I hear it's not the greatest experience.
I can't say with playing Paper Mario is until I stopped, or it stopped me playing it.
It stopped for you.
Yeah, it does have a different feel. That analog stick has a unique feel, and that game is kind of built around it with some of the actions you have to do. That wouldn't have you have to tap left as fast as you can, and which requires it to snap back, or you have to hold left and have it snap to a trigger. If that on a modern analog stick probably wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah, and the Joy-Cons all run on sensors rather than rack and pinions like the old N64 analog controllers were. Because that's the nostalgia feeler, is that they're not smooth. You've got that janky movement for it all. So
yeah.
And you have that octagonal guide inside, locking your analog stick to really 8 slots.
Nick,
but
what do you got?
The games are designed around that.
You got some deep. Some deep cuts here for me. What do you got?
Well, it's not even actually that deep, and I don't think it's on there yet. But what about DKC 64 or something? Something. I mean, I know it's a collectathon, and people kind of hated it for that, but I don't know. I could see it. You got Diddy Kong Racing. I don't know. Are those Rare games? No, they can't be Rare games. Those are Kong games. Yeah, they were made by Rare, but they can't be owned by Rare, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good. Yeah,
Diddy Kong Racing would be good. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm just saying that runway is running pretty quickly running out. So we'll see what happens. Tim, what else do we need to know about for release? There's some other major releases and one major delay that got me a little sad. But what are our other releases?
Yes, we got our Kingdom Hearts is announced for February, available February 10th. Their demo is available to check and make sure that the cloud version of this game and the only version of these games will work well on your Switch, essentially. So that's available now. They are on sale. So in the US, at least, I don't know about the other regions, but you can get the whole bundle for $72 rather than $90. And Marty did bring up a good point about that, and being that on Twitter, at least, he was out there complaining about it being that much, considering how much you can get it for on the other consoles. So that's a lot of stink there, but there's a lot of people who haven't played this game yet. So, but the best time to get it now, best time is to get it now because it is on sale for, that much cheaper. And if you're thinking about getting any of them or all of, if you're thinking about getting them one at a time, it's probably best to get them all at once at a good price, or possibly wait till they have a big sale as well, because we know that Square Enix is good for that, and maybe it'll go drop down again. But
yeah. Question, Nick, Sean, either of you guys ever played any of these Kingdom Hearts games?
No.
I think I played one. I played one around the time that I was trying to get into RPGs. Playing Final, I think it was around Final Fantasy VII era. I tried them, but those kind of games aren't for me at all. So,
wait, but I do want to. Is this Kingdom Hearts all-in-one package on PlayStation for $25? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Holy crap! That is a crazy markup. I didn't know how much the markup was, but yeah, that deserves to be called out for sure. That's crazy.
Yeah, the normal prices without any discounts per game is $39.99 for 1.5 plus 2.5, and $49.99 each for 2.8 and 3. So add those together, that's $140. So still, if you want to play these on Switch and you think you want to get them all, getting the bundle on a discount at $72 is almost half the price. But still, I agree. Compared to the $25 you get the same thing for a PlayStation, it is weird and kind of insane.
Yeah,
I'm sure Kingdom Hearts 3 is literally either just left or currently leaving Game Pass as well.
No, it's off. Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I'd love to know how those contracts work, because it's true. A lot of times we'll see something fall off, and then Outer Wilds is a point of that. It fell off of Game Pass, and then it got announced for Nintendo, but then it came back right as it was supposed to get released for Nintendo. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
We still don't have a release date for that, do we? For Nintendo?
No, not yet. No Outer Wilds for Nintendo Switch yet. No
that
date.
That and Fall Guys, I'm going to start having some words with. Speaking of games that have been delayed, Tim, what is our last game?
Life is Strange Remastered Collection was delayed until later in 2022. Not even a date, just later. So it'll still release on other consoles, PC, and Stadia. Yes, on February 1st, as planned. Which is interesting because it's like, okay, again, everybody else gets it, but for some reason, Switch has to be held back. But it makes sense because I've always said that it seems like whenever a company releases or tries to release a game for the Switch with everybody else, there's always a problem with the Switch version. So we have to wait anyways to get the first updates, to get the kinks out. So it's just a matter of figuring out what the company's going to do. In this case, they're holding it back until they get the kinks out themselves before.
Okay. And there's actually one other game on here that was not announced on here, not on our list, that was delayed. Dead by Daylight 2, which is scheduled to come out in like 2 weeks from now. The Nintendo Switch cloud version has been delayed.
That's right. Yeah.
Sink that one in, folks. The cloud version was delayed. So I don't know. That's an interesting one.
I didn't hear this. Is there a new window or just not the 4th?
Oh, sorry. I was like, is there a joke in that one? I don't get it. Just the way you said it. No, they have not given a new date. Not new date at all.
Yeah, John and I were talking about it. Doesn't make any sense to me. Like, so this one can't be the Switch architecture, right? Because it's on a server somewhere. So did they just not check the servers before they went to throw it on? And they're like, oh, this doesn't work. I don't know. I'd love to know the.
So here, Nick, I'm going to tell you behind the scenes what happened. So they upload it, right? And they're doing some QA testing, and all of a sudden they realize that the X, Y, and the A, B buttons on the face and what they programmed completely wrong. Completely wrong. And so we got to take the whole thing down, scrap the project, rebuild it from scratch, because they can't, because everything is like, hey, press the Y button. You're like, oh, it's the X button, and they're like, I don't know what's going on. It's going to
joke. But that would be great in 20 years from now if they're like, yeah, that was really it.
That was legitimately what happened, right? Because it's the only console that has the wrong letters comparatively.
But isn't it the
PlayStation doesn't even have letters
them in the right place?
Yes, that is exactly. I agree. I do agree with you, Sean. It's the right place for them. It's the first console to do it, and then everyone else just didn't do it. Like, why couldn't everyone else just follow the same rules?
They're like, we're going to be different. We're going to flip the letters.
I swear it was. I think it was a lawsuit. To be completely honest, I think it was a lawsuit waiting to happen. And so someone said, "It's not the same if we flip the letters.
It's not the same if we add shapes."
It's true. But even Nintendo got it right with the actual, everything's in the X plane and then the Y plane. So X at the top, vertical, Y horizontal. So they even got it in the correct plane. And yeah, it probably is a.
Listen, I've been streaming Xbox games for like a year-ish now, a little bit more, and I still sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I gotta look. Let me see. What buttons I gotta It's like I feel like such a noob every time I have to do it.
I do that all the time when I'm playing either Xbox or Stadia. I'm like,
It's something about the letters too. It's like it's really it has nothing to do with the letters. It's about the placement of where that button is, and so it's a matter of just telling your brain, okay, you got to hit that. Either left, right, or up or down, button.
Tell you where Xbox should have spent their $70 billion, right? proper button placement. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, Phil Spencer? Don't you pretend like you don't listen to this podcast.
I found an article that says that the press release announcing the delay says it will be within 6 months of the original release date. So no window other than
here in August. Yeah. Guess what is a good way to cut a game's hype down at the knees is by delaying it when it's being released on multi-platform.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks before release.
Yeah.
Like
and nobody in 6 months from now is gonna be like, I want to pay full price for this game. Nope, that's not gonna happen. And guess what?
Especially
They're not
if you can play it on Xbox.
Yeah, and they're not gonna discount it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the truth. It'll come out on Game Pass the same time it finally releases for the Switch.
Yep.
Yes. That's it for game releases. The only other news that we have left is that Cuphead show will hit Netflix on February 18th.
Did you guys watch this trailer?
I
did not see the trailer.
You guys have not seen the trailer? No one's watched. The trailer's great. Are you kidding me?
Didn't watch it.
I just saw the headline and put it in the notes.
It's 2 minutes out of your life. Watch the trailer.
I haven't had 2 minutes in my life.
Oh, don't give me that. Don't. Yeah, how many Picross games did you finish this week?
He's making choices.
I want to know.
I'm taking my 2 minutes and giving it to Picross.
You son of a gun.
I didn't know there was a trailer. I knew about the show. I'm excited about that, but I didn't know we had a trailer out.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a trailer either. So I'm like, I might have to look at that now because I want to know if they're using the soundtrack that they use in the game because that'd be amazing to watch.
I saw the trailer there, sitting there, plain as day, and I was just like, "Oh, that's nice," and then kept going,
kept scrolling through.
Back to his cat videos,
right?
That's right. Those cat videos cracked me up. I tell you, I'm in tears.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the reason that you came here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Sean and Nick are here. We're going to break down this entire Xbox news. Xbox announces on Tuesday morning at like bright and early. It was like 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, the crack of dawn in this side of the world. Sean was like, I was halfway through my day. That they are acquiring Activision Blizzard for just shy of $70 billion. And again, ladies and gentlemen, what I believe was probably the biggest video game event news I can remember. Absolutely massive. The entire world kind of if you're a gamer, you have so many thoughts on this, I'm sure. We're going to try and break down this conversation in so many different ways. We can talk about it from the Xbox side and talk about it from what does it mean to Game Pass. We're going to talk about it about what does it mean for all the companies that actually Activision Blizzard owned or bought prior to this, because they owned a ton of games and companies. What does this mean for their suite of games? What does this mean for the hot mess of a trash person that is Bobby Kotick as the CEO of that company? What does it mean from the PlayStation side? What does it mean about Monopoly, not the game, but the actual like thing that's now occurring? And what happens to Nintendo? All of that and so much more. We're going to break it down. But I'm going to start hot and fresh with Sean and Nick because that's why they're here. Gentlemen, how did this land with you?
Before we do that,
I'm not doing my ad.
No, but I actually have a bumper prepared for this.
Oh my God. Go ahead then.
Hey, we might steal that. I don't know. That's good. I like it.
What is that?
That was a breaking news sound thing that I found.
Wow. Yeah, we want how much for that? We'll give you $70 billion. So,
hey, Jesse,
can I quickly answer Solo something's question?
Jesse, can you head over to the YouTube chat and get some people muted or banned for us, please?
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Sorry, Sean, can you go ahead, sir? I don't want to give any more attention to that.
Yeah. Solo's asked where I was when the news broke. I was asleep.
Freaking asleep, you were, Solo.
Yeah, I was working nights, so I was on UK flipped time. So I literally woke up, looked at my phone, and had this string of messages from Nick, like, "Have you seen the news? Activision have bought. Wake up! What are you doing?" And then I messaged him, and I was like, "I literally just woken up." And he's like, "Why is it live?" And then it just went.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I ended every one of my Discord messages with, no, you keep sleeping. It's okay, Sean. I was like, can you believe this? You just keep sleeping. Oh my gosh, they want us to be on NINDADS. You just keep sleeping.
Okay. Any kind of and this news has probably sat with you guys for a little bit of time. Any kind of initial gut reactions or thoughts before we start having this conversation?
For me, my first reaction, you can go on our Twitter. I can't say it here live, but my first reaction was an Xbox. I literally, I looked at my phone and it was like, they acquired? Like, I was blown away by the whole idea. And then the number, all those zeros, I was like, oh, this is just crazy. And you immediately start thinking about what it does to Game Pass and what it means for Game Pass, what it means for video gaming as a whole. And you immediately start having that unbiased conversation with yourself of is this really good? I'm really happy for Xbox, but is this really good? It's just, there was a lot that happened in that little time.
So let's talk about that pocket there, actually, Nick, because I think that's a really great question, right? Because I think I went to, wow, this is such an amazing thing. Wow, that's a way to solve the Activision lawsuit Bobby Kotick problem, right? And then I went, is this actually good, right? And so, Nick, I want to sit in this pocket and ask you, when you were thinking about that, what does that mean? What is this actually good? What were you thinking about in relation to that?
Well, it's just, there's not a lot of AAA developers left, really, and the people, Xbox is the one that's really making them go away and acquiring them with Bethesda and now Activision. And it's like, well, is it good that one company is acquiring and owning all of these AAA developers, especially on the back of, we may not completely have understood when Xbox said, yeah, we want inclusivity. We want you to be able to play these games everywhere. We may not understood that completely. As you see Starfield come out and Xbox is like, no, this is going to be on Game Pass, all of a sudden it's like, well, that doesn't feel real inclusive. That feels kind of like that seems kind of exclusive, really. So I don't know. And it's like, well, how is that going to work with Activision's game? And at some level you kind of you have this tug and pull, well, you can't blame them. They just spent $70 billion on this thing, right? What did you expect? But you do, I want the gaming industry as a whole. I'm a Nintendo fan. I'm an Xbox fan. And I certainly want to see Sony do great things too, because, as you say often, as all you guys do on this podcast, it only helps the industry as a whole. So you want to see them all thrive. And it's like, well, is this going to help the industry as a whole thrive? That's kind of what goes through my brain.
Yeah. Tim, what about you as this news kind of broke?
I actually worked late the night before, so I got up a little later too that morning, and as soon as I got up and looked at my phone, that was actually the top of the news on my phone, was that, and I had to reread it several times just to see who is this, a real account, what's going on here? Because you always have to check those stupid real account things. And then I was just like, okay. And then I immediately went into Discord because I knew everybody was going to be blowing it up in there, and it certainly was. And it was just everywhere. It was just, what's going on? And just all our friends and their podcasts and these guys, and it was just amazing news, and just like Nick was saying, as a gamer fan, from all angles, just where is this going? And then even to the days leading up to today with Phil's, tweet about him talking to Sony, it was just crazy, mind blowing, just how different this is compared to us growing up with the SNES Genesis days, where it's like you pick one side or the other, dude.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pull in the tweet that Tim is referencing right now from Phil Spencer's Twitter account, tweeted 6 hours ago. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry, and we value our relationship. This was very much kind of earlier in the day. I saw a conversation from Sony, which was essentially, I'm sure that Microsoft will be very kind to ensure they're honoring their prior deals in this as well. This is definitely putting Sony in a very interesting situation. And it's interesting to hear also that they specifically in this tweet call out Call of Duty. And that's actually really important for us to have a conversation about. So let's maybe talk a little bit about that. Nick, I saw you shaking your head when I said Call of Duty. Why is that so important?
Well, it's to me, it's important because that's their bread and butter of users. And if you're Xbox, I mean, it's 110 million current users they have on Call of Duty. Activision has last count that I was able to find online, and that's important to Xbox because Xbox is trying desperately hard to get people on Game Pass, and 110 million users just makes, quite frankly, it makes Microsoft salivate to think that even if they could have half of those people come over to their Game Pass subscription, I guarantee you they would start talking quarterlies about profit instead of revenue, and that would make everybody really happy in the Xbox world.
I think they announced their current subscription numbers are like 25 million.
25 million, which I believe their last time they had mentioned it was 17 million. So they're up by about 25%, give or take some loose numbers there. That's a really good kind of increase in regards to Game Pass. Very interesting to see if we roll this clock forward in 1 year from now. What does this mean? Right? Are we going to see people now beginning to buy more into this? But I want to sit in the Call of Duty pocket for a second here. Now, anyone on this call a big Call of Duty fan? Sean, why do I think you are? Am I wrong? Yes, there. Yeah. Sean, talk to me a little bit about Call of Duty and what does this mean for the gaming?
Well, this is what I thought initially when I saw the deal. I was like, oh, wow, cool. Does that mean I'm going to get like Call of Duty, like the current version Vanguard, as part of my subscription with Game Pass? And then I saw that it's not until 2023. And then I thought, well, hang on a second then. Am I going to get a back catalogue of Call of Duty games? So am I going to get Black Ops and Black Ops 2? Am I going to get Cold War? Am I going to get all these kind of things? And then I sat there and thought for a while, I went down the route of, hang on, are they going to like hold Call of Duty to hostage? Are they going to force people to this? And then the other side of me was like, they can't do that. This is such a big game across many different platforms: PC, PlayStation, Xbox. And we talked about it in our stream that like Nick's basically in the mindset of, yeah, they're going to hold this. It's a big game. It's going to draw people in. Activision got over 110 current users for this game, 110 million current users. It's if you wanted to say, look, you can't play this game unless you've got a Game Pass subscription, it's going to be a guaranteed revenue for them. But at the same time, I think it'd be a really sore topic if they did that. It'd be a really foul thing for Xbox to do to a game like that and hold on to it. So,
yeah, and it's so interesting. Like the Call of Duty thing is such a big deal. And just maybe you're like, I don't, it's Call of Duty. I don't get it, right? Here's just a quick piece of information I want you to kind of noodle around as we talk about Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard. The NPD numbers for 2021 came out as what were the top 20 best-selling games in 2021 in the US. And ladies and gentlemen, number 1, Call of Duty Vanguard from Activision Blizzard. Call of Duty Vanguard was released in September. It only had 3.5 months. Sorry, I apologize. 2.5 months to essentially get to that spot. 3.5. And the second one, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Followed by number 3, Madden NFL 2022, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl, Battlefield 2042, Miles Morales, Mario Kart 8. Also, what's up with that? Resident Evil Village, MLB The Show, and Super Mario 3D World. The top 2 games for the most games sold, right, in 2021 are Call of Duty games. Here's the reality. Like you might, Activision, you might think everything's going on with Bobby Kotick and their harassment and they're being sued and all that they are an absolute dumpster fire of a company potentially, or at least their leadership, higher leadership is. And I'm not debating that at all. They make money, right? They have a formula that they know. And when they just spent Xbox $70 billion, guess what? They are going to want that money back in spades as well to make money. And Call of Duty is one of the ways they're going to do that. Now, I'm hoping that what we're going to see from Microsoft is them becoming better stewards of the brands, right? And to allow, because really what Activision has done over the last several years is buy a bunch of small developers. Toys for Bob's is one of the ones that came out in my mind as well. Sledgehammer Games. And they bring them in. They bring them into this roster and say, "You are now Call of Duty," right? They acquired a bunch of developers and said, "All you now develop is Call of Duty." And so the hope here is that maybe that might free up some of their space as well. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on kind of that idea?
I could definitely see them doing something like that. Sean, there's a good conversation going on. Abyssal says about Warzone being free. Like, is it free or what? How does the pricing work in that? I don't know.
So Call of Duty Warzone is basically Activision's version of Fortnite. It's a free to download, free to play game with a season. You've got that whole season battle pass bundle that you can buy into to unlock more skins, unlock more weapon skins, more weapons in the game, bits and pieces like that. So Warzone is basically their free to play PvP. So, and they then kind of dress it up to match the current game that's released. So initially it was Advanced Warfare kind of style. And then as they had Cold War, they moved like the map. They did a Fortnite and basically destroyed the map and then made it look like 1986, which was the Cold War era for like Ukraine and that side of things towards Russia. And now what they've done now is with Vanguard, I think it's gone back even further and they've dressed the map to suit the current game. So you don't have to play Warzone, you don't have to buy the current Call of Duty game. You can ignore it. You never have to get it. But if you do buy the current game, you get a load more operators and more skins that you can play in Warzone. So
Warzone,
they go hand in hand, but you don't have to buy a copy of Call of Duty to play Warzone.
Okay, so Warzone is the overarching battle royale game, and then they release like a yearly installment that you have to pay for, basically. Okay.
Yes, but you don't have to buy into that, only unless you want to play like the team deathmatch, free for all, capture the flag style stuff.
Sorry, I just didn't know.
No, it's okay. And again, Call of Duty, people buy consoles for Call of Duty, right? That is a much like in the UK, people buy FIFA or consoles for FIFA, right? That is a game and a product that moves systems. So that being brought in is a big deal. So this conversation that Xbox is having with PlayStation about where Call of Duty is going to live is critical. And I'm sure that PlayStation got on the phone real fast and said, we need to talk about this, right? Because that is a huge game for their platform and for why people would purchase a PlayStation 5 or stay in that ecosystem. What Xbox has done is making a stronger argument for why they are the ecosystem of choice for anyone going forward. And Sean, I think I saw you were going to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe, and somebody might correct me if I'm wrong, but Activision were the exclusive to Sony. So, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe in the past they've had Call of Duty early compared to PC and Xbox.
I think that deal's gone back and forth over the years, but I think it has been with PlayStation.
I've noticed that there was usually some DLC too that Sony had that Xbox didn't have.
Yeah,
or some extras. So yeah.
So for Xbox now to have basically an exclusive developer with Sony, it's kind of like a come to us if you want more, if you want more biscuit.
That's the part of the tweet that I respect a lot from Phil's perspective, because again, not used to seeing this stuff until the last few years, where he at the last sentence is Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship.
And I think, I mean, there's a little bit of corporate word reading between the lines.
Yes,
commentary,
there is definitely,
right?
But still,
but there's a statement right before that which we're missing. Obviously, Phil came out saying, "Yeah, for sure," but Sony stated to them that Sony's responded their first time response to the acquisition and said that it expects games to remain multi-platform due to contractual agreements. So essentially what happened was when this went through, the Sony lawyer team began going through their contracts as quick as possible and saying, what is our agreement with Activision Blizzard regarding the games? And is there any clause of that if they're purchased or acquired that we still can continue to agree on multi-platforms?
And Xbox does have a history of honoring those agreements.
They do, yes. Deathloop is a great example recently.
Deathloop, yeah.
Psychonauts 2.
Yes.
And while not exactly the same, it still had the same gotcha that I'll bring up shortly. MLB was a show when that was multi-platform for the first time. It was released on both systems, but it was also free with Game Pass. So that's kind of like we'll still honor it, but you want to play it over here instead.
Yeah. I mean, this is so corporate legal speak in regards to this. But like, I can probably reassure you that each CEO is kind of playing like a little bit of stalemate and has their law teams on speed dial. And I can guarantee you that Sony has been spending the entire week ripping through contracts and trying to determine where the verbiage says if something happens, we can basically take, someone to court about it to ensure it. This is we're not talking about pennies here. We're talking about $1 billion agreement and contract. This is absolutely massive.
Yeah. This one is crazy. They could just say, you know what, Sony, have Call of Duty. We're going to get our money out of it anyways. And that's fine, especially because they have the PC market, which I kind of did some research in this. And the PC market is the larger portion of those users. And they can still be able to say, hey, we have PC Game Pass. Now your only place you're going to get Call of Duty now on the PC is if you come to the Microsoft store and you can get Game Pass and you'll get it for free. And I think that'll be a big catch for them. And I think they'll get a lot of people that way when it comes to Call of Duty. But they could also play, Phil uses the word we desire, which is also more of that like reading between the lines. Listen, Phil could have came out and said, listen, Call of Duty is going to be just like it was always. You're going to purchase it, except, Microsoft is going to get your money instead of Activision now because we acquired him. He didn't come out and say that, though. He said, well, he's important and we really desire to have these games there. And it's like, that's his like step back where he gets to say, well, we said we desired, but 2024 is here and those contractual agreements are up and things didn't work out as well as we had hoped with that partnership. And so now it's ours. Or now if they want it, they have to go through Game Pass, or maybe it's on the PlayStation Store. You download it, comes to a spot on the game where you can either log in to Xbox's server and they say, oh, you're a Game Pass member on PlayStation Store, you get to play this for free, or you're not, you can be one, or you can pay the $70 it's going to cost to get it.
I think you're 100% right there, Nick. I mean, this is business like 101. The statement of desire is we desire that, presuming you play by our rules. And I think, Phil has been so blunt about his statement of I want Game Pass everywhere. Right. So him rolling up to Xbox, or Sony saying, hey, sure, guys, we would definitely desire that. Here's a way that we could do that. What do you think about Game Pass being on your platform? Yeah. You want to keep this Call of Duty thing going? Listen, we'll even renegotiate some of the what the cut is. But by the way, this is coming to your platform if you want to keep this stuff coming. Jesse, throwing to you.
Yeah, because Sony definitely wouldn't want to lose out on their 30-ish% cut of any DLC purchases through that run through the PSN store. Even though that may lose out on the $70 costs per game, so they have to weigh that. But if more people are going to probably leaving them and go to Xbox anyway because of this, they probably will want to hold on to as much as they can. I was also looking over at what games Toys for Bob did. They're Skylanders, Spyro, Crash 4. So going back to talking about the agreements, so we'll probably still have new Call of Duty this year and next year, and maybe even 24 because they have 4 developers working Call of Duty.
They're in cycle times. Yep.
They got 4 games in development, but 2026 we might start seeing them going. Oh no, this is exclusive now. Thanks, Sony. Thanks for your time. Yeah. Bye bye. And also, and what I would like to see is them to get out of this annual thing with 4 teams. Maybe shrink that down back to 2 teams, going with an every other year release cycle. So you're still giving them 4 years to make a game, and then those teams you just freed up, put them on new projects, because I'm sure Toys for Bob, they've got a creative library here. They would like to see what else they can do other than just pew games for the rest of their lives.
There's such an interesting. There's so much to dissect there. And actually today, reading off of Game Informer, headline is Xbox head Phil Spencer says Microsoft will talk with developers about reviving older Activision Blizzard franchises, right? So you're exactly it. We had these, Toys for Bob being a great example. Amazing games they've come into. They've literally had to shelve their IPs, right? So this is the interesting thing that people have to remember.
Pitfall 3.
That Microsoft has bought these companies that had a suite of IPs that sat back there that no one has done anything with, right? Crash Bandicoot is now an IP potentially, right, that Microsoft can use now or to develop more on, right? Spyro is another great example of it. So they have these other IPs. Now, here's the other thing I like about your commentary there, Jesse. We have to remember that, yes, this Activision Blizzard acquisition, they have so many studios here, but, take 3 steps back. Microsoft has so many studios they purchased from all of them now that they can be like, you know what, Activision teams, I've got resources over here in this other studio, right? That's currently not. Maybe they're the team who's developing.
What do they own? Like 40 studios now?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Hey, Call of Duty guys, Treyarch, Sledgehammer. Why don't you guys go spend some time with 343, right? Or go spend some time with those guys, right? And let's have a conversation about. What did we do for Halo, right? Why don't you go spend some time with Bethesda? What do they do for Doom? They have an opportunity not only to share better tools, technology, but also talent and resources, right? So those teams that are maybe burnt out on playing doing Call of Duty could now be developed by Bethesda, right? They could. I mean, I'm sorry, but Philly's writing the checks. He can move people. He can move resources. I mean, you've got now a talented infrastructure that you could do so much with. Sean, I see you got something going on there.
It just with that they completely did not think about that. Microsoft's already got like people in the background with stuff like Bethesda who make Doom, and now they've got the people with Activision and Blizzard that made and Treyarch and Infinity Ward that made a really good open world style PvP battle royale. Marry them together and give me a Doom version of Warzone, and I will just absolutely make a mess.
Here's the part of that, though, and Phil has been very particular about bringing this up and kind of doing his mea culpa, not for him, but in the past for Xbox with Rare. They messed up Rare bad when they acquired them. He said that publicly, said that they learned a lot from that, and that they really want developers to be who they want to be and help to make them the best that they are. So I think he's going to be very slow to be like, hey, you just go over here and do that, and you come over here, because that's kind of what they did with Rare and said, you build this and you make that because you're a great studio. Well, they had them build and make stuff that wasn't in their wheelhouse, and all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, these games coming out are not what we expected. And he has said they've learned from that. And so hopefully they have, and they'll be able to work with them to make Activision better. And that may mean marrying them with other teams, but that also may mean not what we would like to have it mean, because marrying those teams together won't produce what you would think on paper it would produce. And I think that's what they learned from Rare, and hopefully they can kind of dodge and weave that and make it work out.
Unless it's what the devs want to do.
Right,
like
exactly.
They could be excited about, hey, we make Doom over here, but we want to go talk to the Halo guys because they do the XYZ that we're interested in. So, yeah.
Yeah, if it works out well, that's awesome. But I think that they'll be slow to move on those changes to make sure that they do the right thing and they don't force something that ends up being the wrong thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So much. We're going to keep breaking this down.
Sure.
Question that has come up in the chat. Mecha Dragon asks, Justin, answer me this. What are the chances that the government might shut down this acquisition due to antitrust rule or fear of a monopoly? Nick, you were talking about this, right? To start off a little bit, right? I mean, I think not only what does it mean for gaming, but actually is Microsoft now getting themselves into monopoly, right? Because when you start thinking of it, we talked about these third-party developers. There ain't a lot left now, right, that we can pick up. What are your thoughts on this idea of monopoly? I have some thoughts as well, but I'd like to hear what you guys are thinking.
I think it might cost a little bit more for people to approach those developers, but I don't think Microsoft are going to turn around and say, no, you can't use them. I think they'll just be we need a cut, or we need a mention, or let's talk about an exclusive deal. So if you want to make this game and you want to use our developers, can we make this day one exclusive for Game Pass? Or can we make this day one exclusive just for Xbox and hold it for 6 to 12 months before you allow it on Nintendo or on Sony or Stadia or something like that? But I can't see that they're going to monopolize, and I can just see that there could be deals worked in there because you're using their developers now.
Yeah. So I guess. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. This talk reminded me of during our predictions episode, which I swear was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but no, it was just last week. We talked about, like Tim's prediction was Nintendo will buy another game studio, and I kind of backed it up with, I think it would be a good time to do it because the development pools are starting to dry up. We weren't expecting to see this come down a week later.
Yeah, that's funny. And if any of you would have predicted that Microsoft bought Activision, you would have won. No matter what the hell else you predicted in this entire predictions episode, you would have won. I just want you to know that's just how it would have gone
70 billion points.
Yeah. Also, you might have been in trouble. So 3 things. I think one, they are going to try to put Game Pass, and they're going to try to say that Activision's games and their games from their developers are on as many on many platforms as possible because they're offering Game Pass to anybody who wants it, and they're going to try to use that to get out of the monopoly issue. 2, the antitrust thing of like, are they gobbling up competition? I'm not the lawyer, but I've read about 4 or 5 articles. Activision and Microsoft, by our laws, don't look at each other. The laws don't look at them as competition. If they ate up like Sony or Nintendo, that would be a totally different ballgame. But I mean, Bethesda went through without much of an issue. And the third thing is, if there is an issue, if there's any company that is good at doing antitrust laws, a la Netscape and Internet Explorer, it's Microsoft. So they definitely got the lawyers who have done the stuff, and they've been through this before. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, this is kind of similar to the Disney Fox deal from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we saw how long that took for the ink to dry, and it's going to be at least that long for this. But at least that were actually competitors, and that still went through. But there was still enough other movie studios around that there aren't quote unquote a monopoly. Here, I think is the same. Sony and Nintendo and are still there. So again, the amount of dev resources is drying up for third-party development, but in terms of a monopoly in the console business, no, that's still that really hasn't changed.
No, and I mean you think of obviously the AAA developer space like this, but I mean you also have to remember there's so many indie developers, right? There's other companies, right? So it's really not quite the exact same. I do understand why people think of it. I think the other part of it is also there is such a scrutiny nowadays regarding potentially big tech companies. Right. That has especially been something to kind of be cautious and aware of as well. I definitely agree with Nick in regards to, listen, they kind of got themselves out of this back in the 90s. So they probably got a little bit of muscle memory on how to do it. So I don't think so. Now, a couple of things we do have to remember that we haven't maybe talked about the details here. The deal does not actually close until 2023. And if memory serves, maybe Nick or Sean, keep me honest here, it's June 30th, as I recall, is when it is planning to. Now, for all intents and purposes, both companies, until the acquisition is completed, need to actually work as completely separate entities, continuing business as is until the actual deal is closed, which means it basically has 18 months to go through all the federal regulations and regulatory bodies and works that need to be completed to actually have this occur. So this is one of the reasons why, when the acquisition was announced, that Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, did not go anywhere. Because when you're in an acquisition, having your CEO all of a sudden leave, even if you are during the acquisition, is not a good phase at all, right? Because remember, they have not officially been signed off by regulatory individuals yet, right? The government has not blessed ye yet. So you can't be like, well, Phil's in, Bobby's out, see you later. Unfortunately, that isn't how that works. Nothing from a organizational kind of upper leadership management perspective can really change until the acquisition is actually completed. So Bobby Kotick, right, who we don't necessarily like, right, and we can definitely agree is not a good steward of Activision Blizzard or just a generally great person, still has to be there. Because you have to remember, Bobby Kotick is responsible for the stock prices, right, and how it performs. So despite being purchased by Xbox, for a CEO all of a sudden to leave an organization can have a drastic impact to the stock prices and changes it, right, which now is tied in essentially to Xbox. So there are some absolute challenges in regards to that. So, gentlemen, maybe let's talk a little bit about the culture at Activision Blizzard, right? The lawsuit that's been going through, Bobby Kotick still there as CEO. Phil Spencer being very direct and saying, like carving out directly in the communication during the acquisition, when the acquisition is done, Bobby Kotick will report directly to Phil Spencer, right? And a lot of kind of off the record conversation saying Bobby will be with the company until the acquisition is completed, and then he will decide to leave the organization. What are your thoughts about this as maybe stewards of gaming or as pundits in the industry?
I think this was when Phil sat down with the board. I think this was the biggest conversation. Like, hey guys, let's spend $70 billion. I think the board was like, sure, it's Activision. We'll get our money back in no time. But do we want to take on this culture when, I mean, Phil Spencer and Microsoft has done such a good job of kind of being the stewards are out in front in the video game industry of like, let's be inclusive. Let's make controllers that work for everybody. Let's make accessibility in all of our games. I mean, Forza Horizon got all those accessibility awards because that was something that was top on their deal. Do we want to take this on? And I think really we won't know until it all shakes out. They have, if they can do it right, they will be the heroes of the video gaming industry. And I don't know if that means Bobby Kotick is fired immediately or if they can just change the culture within. But if they can do it right, they'll be the heroes. But man, it could go oh so wrong. Like it's just the truth.
Yeah, I think this was such an interesting statement, right? Because Phil is, I think, the first one to kind of blatantly say, we don't like what Activision Blizzard is doing. And we don't agree with it, and we need to think about how we handle them differently. And I wonder where that conversation was in regards to this acquisition, right? I wonder if back in August when the California came forward and started suing and started putting charges against Activision Blizzard, and it may have been before August, I apologize, if that was a time that Phil Spencer said, you know what we'll just do? Screw it. We're just going to buy them and we're going to take over. But you're right, Nick. This now puts Xbox and Phil kind of at the head of that table saying, we believe the culture needs to be different. We believe we need to treat our employees ethically. We need to treat them, through equity. We need to, ensure diversity, inclusion. We need to do what is right because people need to be treated properly. So you know what? We're the company that can do that, right? We're the person who's going to stand in front and we're going to make that happen. Because obviously, the current board at Activision Blizzard isn't doing that. They're not making the changes they need to. They're not removing the leadership they need to. So screw it. Go get me my checkbook. I'm going to write a couple zeros and then we're going to solve it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I'm just reading through because I did. I'll say this now. I wasn't completely au fait with everything that had been going on at Activision. So I'm currently in the middle of reading a Wall Street Journal piece about what's been going on. And I don't think it's as much Activision's board that are to blame. Looking at this, it is down to just Bobby not being honest and foremost about what's been going on. So
there's definitely. Well, so here's the thing. So the Bobby Kotick is definitely to be blamed. There is leaders, the actions that occurred at Activision Blizzard lead from the top, right? Someone has modeled that, either has modeled that behavior or let it go and said, that's okay. We're not going to punish you, right? You're an amazing creator and you've done amazing things and you bring us awesome games. So we're going to let your, horrible behavior be okay. And so we're going to let it go. So whether Bobby did it himself, now there is some commentary about stuff that Bobby did do, right? But you're ultimately responsible. It's your head on that block, right? And so what I mean by the board there, Sean, is specifically they didn't remove Bobby, right? Yeah. The board could have removed Bobby. They didn't do that, right? So now Phil's like, well, F it. I'm just going to buy it and I'll do it, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen. I think
and most things and most journalists and most journalist websites are all saying that they expect him to leave when the change happens.
Yeah.
So
the really unfortunate thing though is and this is the harsh reality of corporate world is he is just going to get richer when he leaves because his golden parachute to get out is pretty golden, right? He makes an absolute boatload of money. So
I think I read somewhere that with the value of his shares is in the area of $400 million.
Yeah, I've just literally read
that. Is that before or after the stock went up 30%?
That I don't know.
That is exactly it. Like he just became exponentially richer.
Yeah, I do. I find this from Phil so interesting. This was a week ago that he did an interview with the New York Times. We literally read this on our podcast last week. He says, in terms of the work we do with other companies, again, I would rather help other companies than try to get into punishing. I don't think my job is out there to punish other companies, but try to guide them. He said that basically 7 days before he knew he was going to push out a tweet and say, yeah, we just bought Activision. I mean, that's just crazy to me.
I cannot go ahead, Jesse.
So looking through the information on the Activision stock page, it says founded in 2008 through a merger of Activision Inc. and Vivendi Games. And I'm like, so they own the old CRL Online library, the King's Quest and the.
Oh, okay.
It's when you think of Activision Blizzard, of course you go to Call of Duty, but there are so many things that the image they put up is amazing. Number one, Overwatch. Right now, Overwatch, we can say, and Jeff Kaplan has left as creative director of Overwatch about 6 months ago. I don't know necessarily why. There may be some why that occurred, but we have seen Overwatch from being Game of the Year in 2016 to really kind of losing so much of that foothold, not evolving as they needed to, and then getting caught behind this Activision Blizzard fiasco. We don't know what the status of Overwatch 2 is. And at the same time, we've had games like Fortnite, PUBG, Apex Legends enter this space, this team-based shooters space. Valorant's another example, and begin to take that ground from them. This is an opportunity. My hope here, going to be very honest with you, I'm really hoping really hoping that Xbox can do right and reshape Overwatch, because they desperately need help to get that back to a healthy game, because I believe that could be an incredible game as it goes forward. Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft, folks. That is massive, right? Who was alive? Who remembers like 2011 and World of Warcraft was everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is
There's
such
the PC
a massive
main go-to.
That is such a absolutely massive game, right? And then on this image, Candy Crush. Now you're like, Candy Crush?
Candy Crush. That's what I was thinking of.
Candy Crush makes them a ton of money. It's mobile, right? Ton of money. And then StarCraft, right? And
bring
so
that back,
right? So that is just a few of the games in that suite, but are absolutely massive for their organization.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think about when you rattle off those games, though. Really, the reason you go to Call of Duty is because Call of Duty is the only game where you don't say, "Man, that game was amazing."
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, it's really the only one where you're like, World of Warcraft, remember? That was amazing. Candy Crush, that was like the hot topic way back when. Like, it's like, I don't know.
You can't say that. My wife
is it still
plays Candy Crush.
Okay,
She's on like
so does my
3
wife.
million. So it's still there. It still has user engagement. So it's still a now game.
Yeah, but it's just there's so many of those that were like the game of the year or the talk of the town at one time, and now they're just like they're waning. Maybe Candy Crush isn't. Maybe it's Candy Crush and Call of Duty, which are their games now. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see when the dust settles and they can sit down in a brainstorming meeting and say, what the hey do we do with all these IPs? Like, which ones do we actually dust off and I mean, man, they have such a plethora now of what they're going to do. It'll be interesting to see where they take it.
I also think they may now have the best competitors as Super Smash Brothers ever. Xbox does. Xbox owns every freaking IP. Yeah. Right? Like, oh, look, it's the Diablo guy. Oh, look, there's some people from World of Warcraft. Look, there's Master Chief. Like, there's Doom. Like, they own all, like, they have just made the best competitor to Smash Brothers they ever want, right? I'm expecting the next acquisition is they've purchased Sakurai, right? And that's it. You're like, we're done. That is a double-edged sword though, right? Like, you have this smattering of everything, and it's not that it's not good. It's that you look at Nintendo and you can really pinpoint their brand, and Sony is the same way. But man, how does Microsoft keep their arms around these 40 plus studios that they have bought and continue to point the ship in a marketing sense, in a brand sense? Like, I mean, Sean and I talk all the time. Who's their mascot? I guess it's the Halo guy. I don't know. Like, there's a lot there that is tough when you get this big, and especially I think when you get this big by buying things. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny, interesting. I talking a little in the, kind of as you were thinking that, Nick. One of the things that I always refer to, I think we always refer to, as Game Pass is like the Netflix, right? That is a concept that people are easy to understand. Oh, okay, I get it. I think we need to change the dialogue to Game Pass is now the Disney Plus, right? Which is like, what is the Disney? Like, when you think Disney, you don't think Mickey Mouse anymore. You think Marvel, you think all these things. Game Pass is now that. Game Pass is when I think Game Pass, when I think Xbox, I think all of these things, right? Because they've acquired all these shops. And so really the mascot for a corporation is whatever that mascot is to the consumer.
Which makes Game Pass.
Right, but it's whatever they relate it to, right? Whatever their connection is. So it actually makes the value so much more personalized and so much more intrinsic as opposed to, do you relate to a short, fat Italian plumber with a mustache who apparently just who eats mushrooms, loses his girlfriend all the time, and is a tough stereotype, right? You're like, I guess maybe, right? As opposed to someone who's like, you know what? No, I identify myself as, maybe a lesbian, right? Who is from or someone who's gay from England, right? And you're like, oh, I represent myself as Tracer, right? So there's this idea like you could, or identify myself as this tough brute of a person, right? I don't speak a lot, but I like to kick ass and take names. I'm connecting myself with the guy from Doom, right? Like, so you can connect yourself to all these different things, and it creates a difference. So it's very interesting. Who's the mascot for Nintendo Dads? Business Justin.
At least today.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit around this, right? We've talked a little bit about what does it mean for Sony. I think we've talked a little bit about what does it mean for the folks at Activision Blizzard. Talk a little bit about Xbox, but I want, Sean and Nick, what does this mean for Xbox? What does this mean for Game Pass? What does this mean for that subscription number of 25 million? What is going on now? And what are your thoughts on this?
So the other week when we talked about Ubisoft Plus coming to Game Pass, everybody's kind of worried. And I think we even said it that, is this going to change the amount that you have to pay per month for your Game Pass subscription? Now, I think Jeff did some really good business decisions based on that, and it's kind of gone and they've bought Activision knowing that it's going to bring in a whole host of people to subscribe to the service, so he doesn't have to charge people more money, because if you've got 25 million subscribers at the moment, you bring Activision across, maybe you make another 50 million subscribers in the next 12 months. That's big money, especially if people are only coming in for the basics. So a lot of PC players that play Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, bring them all into the Game Pass subscription service, up it to 75 million people, $7.99 a month.
So I've talked about this before, but the company that owns EverQuest had other games, and they each had their own subscription, and then they turned it into an all-in-one pass. So you have a subscription to one game, you have a subscription to all games. So if they could do this here, you're part of your ultimate the Game Pass Ultimate would include World of Warcraft subscription.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I think
that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, because it makes sense. And I mean, even if you come in with 75 million people subscribing at $7.99 a month, 600 million a month in subscriptions that your company is then making, it's silly money a year, 7.1 billion a year in subscription. You don't need to worry about AAA games launching and recording your sales. You need to look at the figures for how many people we got subscribing to this service. And the more people they can bring into that service by allowing them to play games like World of Warcraft and include, the subscription service to that game to be part of their Xbox subscription, they're going to make a lot of money. It's going to just exponentially increase the revenue based on subscriber fees. So I don't think it's going to do anything to the price of Xbox. I think people that are in Game Pass now at the price that it's at now, it's going to continue at that price. You're just going to get a massive roster of games and have a lot more people to play with.
Yeah, I think it does a couple things. I think it will make Game Pass. I think they'll join the 100 million club by the time the dust settles on this. I think that's pretty. I think Jesse's completely right. They're going to get rid of all those subscriptions. They want to funnel everything through Game Pass because they want that number as high as possible. That's just a fact. I think they got a little nervous when Sony starts talking about they're going to do a Game Pass like service, or they didn't say Game Pass like. They're going to be upping their service. And Game Pass has the premier video game subscription service, and they wanted to make sure that it was uncatchable. And I think that's kind of what this did. They said, all right, we want to make sure that we don't have Sony looking, when we look in our rearview mirror, we don't want to see anybody, like nobody even close to what we're offering. And the best way to do that is to up that service and do this. I think it puts them back in the fray of top tier gaming, coming off of Xbox One, where it was like almost laughable. The Xbox One and the fact that they just couldn't get any traction. Last year was an amazing year for them to gain traction. Obviously, up, what would you say, 30%? I think was the math you did on Game Pass, and that's their baby. I mean, I've said it on this. They will put that on a toaster if they can get it to run, and the current executives will die on the Game Pass hill. And so all they need to do is get that profitable, and then they're just gonna love it. I mean, they have taken such a hit financially from letting that thing try to grow, and that's why I said the talk was not even about the money, because of the numbers Sean just gave. I mean, it's basically a 5-year investment, and if it doesn't work out as well, maybe a 10-year investment, which I think, Justin, you'll say for a long-term strategy is nothing for a business. They're like, yeah, we're spending $70 billion, but if we can project numbers to where we might start making a profit off of this in 5 years, sure. Like, why not?
Well, and that's your profit model there, Sean, was kind of like just on the Game Pass side, right? Like, if they're just like, no, we'll just kind of keep the Call of Duty stuff as is for the next several years, right? And by the way, you just bought a new Call of Duty for on your PlayStation. Oh, look at that, money goes to Microsoft. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's just like. Yeah. Right. And here's the other reality of it. So when I think of, I'm going to take a step back and hi, folks, welcome back to Nintendo. What's the impact to Nintendo here? Well, if we look at really what the content is that Activision Blizzard has been supporting Nintendo with for the last several years, has been very minimal, right? So we have seen Spyro, we've seen Crash, Overwatch, and Diablo are kind of the big ones. Now, Overwatch 2 was announced to be coming to the Nintendo Switch a long time ago. Things can change, right? So the only game right now that I think has an impact to Nintendo is potentially that. Now, we got to remember, if inevitably Phil Spencer's like, hey, by the way, we got this new Crash 5, and by the way, we're putting on a Game Pass. Hey, why don't we also put it over there on Nintendo? And if instead of paying the $15, they want to pay $80, okay, that's fine, right? So they're getting money from every single place that they can end up taking those funds in. So it logically makes sense also.
Do you think Nintendo ever does xCloud app on their Switch? I mean, they can't do a Game Pass app, not at the moment with the piece of hardware they have, but they're obviously in streaming already. They could do an xCloud app fairly easily.
I don't. I would be interested. I would love to see it.
Sure.
We've been talking about that for 3 years.
I'd love to see it. I just don't know. Right. I think Game Pass is more likely to come to PlayStation. I don't know about the xCloud.
Really? You think Game Pass would come to Sony, to PlayStation before xCloud would come to Switch?
Yeah, I think so. I think Microsoft can roll up and be like, so you guys want some third-party games? We do. Okay. So here's how it's going to be. You're going to put this on, again, go back to the mantra. Phil is like, you said it. It needs to be on a toaster, right? They're coming out with a dongle. They want to put it on smart TVs. They want to put it everywhere. I think they want to put it everywhere, Nick. And I think that they have probably proposed it to Nintendo. Nintendo has said no. Nintendo has said no.
Yeah, they have. I mean, again, in those read through the lines when Phil Spencer says, yeah, we really like Nintendo. Unfortunately, it seems they are a closed system, which to me reads, yeah, we went to them and they said no. So apparently they're a closed platform. So, this was a conversation he had about the Stream Deck. And so then he went on to say, but that's why we like the Stream Deck, because that's an open platform. So to me, that reads, we went there, they said no, let's move on.
I can see them making a piece of hardware, which is cloud gaming only.
Yes.
I can see you getting an Xbox Series C, which basically comes the size of an Apple TV box.
Yep.
That has nothing in it but a fan.
That's going to happen.
That's going to happen, Sean. That's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If Phil has been blunt about it. He's like, we are developing a dongle a la Google Stadia. right?
Yeah, and you can probably get a Roku app for it. Yeah, Apple TV app for it. It'll be anywhere you can get an app. They'll squeeze it in.
I can reassure you, he has already walked over to Amazon and to Google and to Apple and said, you all have app stores, right? You have your Rokus, your Amazon Fire Sticks, your Apple TVs. Cool. What does it take for us to put it on there? Right?
Yep.
Just what's it? Listen, I've got the checkbook open. The pen is still fresh. What number do you want, Apple? And I'll do it right now. And that's their approach, because their approach is the ubiquity of it. Right. It's again, why is Netflix so popular? Is because everyone got it and understood it. And they want to create that space where I don't need that. Right. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am Xbox. Not that they didn't need much of a push. To me now, Game Pass, if you are a gamer and not already in that ecosystem, is now pretty much mandatory. If it wasn't before, it is now. Right. As a person
who I hopped on last year, even though I didn't get a lot out of it as much as I thought, I'm still in it. I played about an hour of Xbox last night.
Yeah. I continue to look at the Xbox Series S and say, yeah, maybe that's what I need to pick up. Right. Because I know that we're going to be jumping into it. Right. I know that it continues to make more and more compelling the argument. I think Xbox now essentially said, if you don't have us, you have to have us. Tim, what do you think of this? You're a new Xbox owner, right? You're waving the Xbox flag. I think I'm the only one here who doesn't have an Xbox. This hurts. I do have I do have Game Pass though, so I'm part of the problem.
I'm okay. I'll stay.
The thing is, so from a consumer perspective, that's what I had to look at from when PS5 was announced and Xbox came out with their game plan. Ever since that point, even when Xbox started making their moves, it already made me take a step back. Well, systems not being available also hurt PlayStation, but it made me take a step back and make me decide, okay, what is going to be my other console? Because I usually have a second console because of always being let down by Nintendo or third parties not showing up on Nintendo systems. So I circumvent that by having that second console. So which one was that going to be for this generation? Was it going to be PS5 or the Xbox Series X or S? A lot of factors came into play as a consumer in that choice. One being the major factor was Game Pass. I already had it. I had PC to start with. Then I jumped into Ultimate because that allowed me to have xCloud. I know it's Game Pass Cloud, but whatever. I call it xCloud, it's easier. But anyways, and then I was like, I had the opportunity to get a Series S because it was available there in the store right there. I got, financially I was able to do it. So I went and got it because it was like, I already got all this stuff. And that was a system I bought before getting a PlayStation 5, an ecosystem I have been in since the PlayStation 1 days.
You literally have games that you can't play for your PlayStation 5 because you don't have one yet.
Exactly, because I have one PlayStation 5 games. I'm still eventually going to get one, I think, unless something doesn't compel me to do it. But from my perspective, Sony didn't come out with anything that said, I need to have that PS5 right now. I've been saying I can wait for either the inevitable PS5 redesign or PS5 Pro or whatever that next system is going to be, or even that themed one that they come out with that they usually have. I figured, okay, I'm going to wait for one of those. So I decided that I am getting on the XPass thing because I've already was starting to play all those Xbox games through the cloud. So for me, that was why I made that decision. And as far as wanting Game Pass for the Nintendo, that's what goes back to the whole thing. It's like, we know Nintendo is hard nosed about having anybody come in and do anything like that, where unless it's them that's designing it or them getting most of the money out of it. So that's where I have to, as a gamer, make that decision of whether I have all three like Jesse, or I make the decision of what's that second console going to be. I have to look at everything. And it was harder definitely because again, I was in that PlayStation ecosystem for a very long time. I did not have an Xbox. I had friends who had them. I had all you guys talking about it all the time, you know. So, but they made it compelling. They did all the work to do this. Phil has done everything in my eyes as a consumer right to make me want an Xbox and feel confident that I have that system now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see, going forward as well with Nintendo, I don't ever believe that Nintendo will buy into the Game Pass, allowing them to be on their platform. Because Nintendo they are in a world of their own. Everybody has a niche, and Xbox and PlayStation have always been back and forth with the big AAA games that run really well, that smash out the park all the time. Nintendo have always been, for me, growing up, this family friendly. Go there if you want to jump on mushrooms and turtles, or if you want to, actually, I lost my train of thought with that. But anyway, they've always had their own kind of game style. So Pokemon, Kirby coming out this year, waiting for a Mario Odyssey 2 because they need to hurry up and do something with that. Zelda's, that's where they absolutely kill it, and they do, and they've always killed it with those kind of games and that style of franchise for as long as they already have. They're up there competing against PlayStation and Xbox without having to do stuff like this. So I don't ever think Nintendo are going to do that because it's not in their dynamic. For me. I think in the big console war battle, Nintendo will always do their own thing and it won't ever be phased by anything that Xbox and PlayStation do. And I strongly believe that with the step that Xbox and Microsoft have taken in the purchasing of Activision, you're going to see them outpace PlayStation because of their subscription service. PlayStation are going to try and do that subscription service this year in a free tier system. Firstly, just allowing you to play some retro games and then allowing you that backwards compatibility via digital and download to play your PlayStation 3 games on your PlayStation 5, which you now can't do. And then they'll move into a back catalogue of games like Nintendo are doing, allowing you the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 nostalgia feels. They're only just starting that this year, where like Nick already said, Xbox and Microsoft have been working on this for a long time. And
it's been established.
That's it.
Yeah. They've established it. And now people are like, oh, it's working, or it appears to be working, or we see that this is going to hurt us, so we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to mention too is that for Nintendo, they will always grab those games or those things that will help their consumers, like Justin, you, who always had one console for a long time, who the parents who have the Nintendos, that the majority of the games you're going to get for our system, Nintendo, is going to be family-friendly games for your family. But every now and then we know the dad or the mom is going to want to sneak off in the middle of the night, want to play a little bit more robust game or something like that. So they're going to keep teasing the parents, that, hey, we're going to give you this and that. And that's why we'll get certain things, but never what we really want. At least that's what I felt so many years ago when I was disappointed with the Wii U, or even the Wii for that matter, like getting teased with, here's your more mature, friendly game that I know you're, as a parent, are going to want to play off in the middle of the night when the kids are in bed. And I'm like, oh yes, this is where I want to see them go. But they never went that extra step. So that's when I was like, you know what? I know what I have to do now. It's always going to be two consoles, because Nintendo will never fulfill what I want them to do with the third parties or the other games that I see on the other systems.
Yeah. And I think as more and more, and I think especially as I think of like online gaming and community gaming, and one of the reasons I've enjoyed, so games like Fortnite and Apex, as much as everyone gives me a little bit of nonsense for it, is because for me, it's not about the soloed experience. I have some great solo experiences, but it's really about community, right? It's about playing together and gaming together. And I think when you look at really what Microsoft is offering right now, I think they are offering so many different online games for people to find their communities now, whether it's Call of Duty, whether it's Overwatch when it comes out, Halo, right? So many of these jump in 2-player experiences where in a world where we're still stuck inside, we're in a pandemic, community and gaming together has become so critical. Xbox continues to have an infrastructure. I have a really good friend. He has an Xbox and he has a Nintendo, but he doesn't have a lot of games there. And there's not a lot of really great like online games that we can play together. But he called me up one day. He's like, do you want to just game and hang out? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So we jumped on and he had Knockout City available to him on Game Pass. Right. And obviously I had that on the Switch, jumped on and played that. We tried to jump on. We played some Sea of Thieves, right? Stuff like that where again, and again, it wasn't about winning. And I've said it before, like, during the Rocket and Ray Gun Awards with Victor Lucas, it wasn't about the win. It wasn't about the W. It wasn't about the victory royale. It was about being together and bringing gamers together. And I really think that is, when you look at Xbox's mantra, bringing gamers together for the gamers, right, for players and creating an exclusive environment is critical to their corporate ethos. And I think that's absolutely, absolutely critical for them to be successful. I think they're doing that very, very well. Gentlemen, anything else that we want to talk about here on this?
I think there's still some fruit there, I guess, if you will, for Nintendo that Microsoft could come at them with. They may not come at them with a full-blown Game Pass, and we've talked about this before. It may just be single one-off games here and there, maybe single one-off deals like we speculated, like with GoldenEye, where they do some sort of, cross-play between the two systems or something with GoldenEye. But I don't think we're going to get the Game Pass that we all hoped for. I don't think it's coming to PlayStation really either, because they're going to have their own thing. And it may be, I don't think it's going to be Game Pass. Let's just say that. I think it might be something else, and it'll be called something specifically for PlayStation, some sort of deal with Microsoft or whatever, but it won't be Game Pass. But I think that there's going to be, Microsoft has that ability to come at them and say, what do you want from us? What can we give you in what you can provide to your customers? And they're going to make money that way.
Yeah, this move has definitely put PlayStation and Sony on the back foot for sure. They're going to watch this for the next 12 months and be like, okay, let's see the numbers, let's see how they do, let's see how they handle this, let's see what gaming looks like going forwards for us with the developers that they have purchased basically and now lead.
I can't be the only consumer that was PlayStation, that was my ecosystem where I'm like, I like God of War. I like all these other brands that they have, but it didn't sell me to go out and buy that PS5 right away, other than not being able to find it. But still, if I was able to find one in the store and get one or pre-order one, I probably would have had one. So, but because of the delays and all that kind of stuff, it made me sit back and think, what do I really want? What do I have time to play? Yeah. So, and I think that as a consumer, thinking of that, like, okay, I have maybe 5 franchises on the PlayStation that I look forward to. And when I looked at it, it's like, am I really looking forward to it now? And then will I be fulfilled by what Xbox offers? And Xbox right now is offering everything that I want to play. So,
I mean, I was PlayStation, and I had the PS4 Pro, I had PSVR. I was PlayStation all the way forward and undenied between the PS5 because I like Spider-Man, I like Gran Turismo, so I like their headline games that you can't get on Xbox. I like those. Yeah. But then the Xbox and Microsoft just offered a service that are just better, just a little bit better than PlayStation. And that's kind of like why I steered towards them and stayed towards Xbox. Not only that, because they also do a Game Pass news with Nick every week, and you need to have an Xbox that runs all the games and has enough storage for it all. So,
well, when we were doing Dad Crossing, and by the way, I would like to point out that we just went from one podcast where you had an uber rich raccoon to just like Uncle Phil now. Now we just talk about uber rich Uncle Phil and his checkbook. It really hasn't changed. Yeah, but when we started to talk more about Xbox during Dad Crossing than we did about Animal Crossing, we figured it was probably trying to transition. I'm super excited to see what happens. Like just as an Xbox fan, as Xbox podcast, but also just as a video gaming enthusiast that loves to just like chat about this stuff. I just think it's fun. I just think it's fun to see how it'll all play out. I also would love to talk to somebody who knows about acquisitions, like really knows, instead of just like me where I'm just reading stuff and trying to figure it out, to see like what can they do together that doesn't break a law, right? So like can Phil say, hey Bobby, don't sign any more contracts with Sony, okay? Like right now, because you got to know Sony's like, here's a contract that'll get you to 2050. So just sign these for Call of Duties and we'll be good, So it's really interesting to think Sony has 12 months to make a move, 18 maybe, to make a move and try to sign some contracts. And I wonder how that legally plays out. Like what can Phil do and not do? What can Microsoft do and not do in that time frame?
I also wonder if Sony is beginning to look at their checkbook and saying, who should we acquire before someone else does, right? What's the acquisition arms race right now? Is Sony in conversation with Ubisoft and saying, how much does it cost? What's the number you need, and we will buy you, right? Mm-hmm. And so I wonder, and Nintendo just doesn't do that. They're not going to play that game. See,
one of my predictions in our show was going to be that Microsoft was going to absorb Sega because of the new Sonic game that was coming out. I was kind of like, that'd be a really good purchase for them. They'd headline it with a Japanese company, that's not Nintendo, to have Sega. And then literally I wrote that, and 12 hours later they bought Activision. I was like, they're not going to buy Sega this year.
Well, they could. There's some more money.
I was going to say, if Sega knocked on the door, I'm sure Phil would be like, "Hey, Nadella, let's figure this out."
I'm sure it's a lot cheaper than $70 billion for the Hedgehog. Yeah. So,
but if they do acquire something, it needs to be Japan. It needs to be Japanese.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But at least Persona games would be released on an Xbox then.
Yeah. There you go. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sitting in this topic and conversation. It's been almost an hour. Thank you so much for this. Hopefully, folks, you have enjoyed this. Again, I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, Nick and Sean run an amazing podcast called Game Pass News. You can go over to every podcast catcher. You can catch them up right now. You can subscribe. You love Xbox. They are part of our Nintendo Dads family, and we support them and love them. So they're going to talk more about that in a couple of minutes as well. But Sean, Nick, thank you for being here. Thank you for your insight, and thank you for your expertise in it as well. Also, Sean, I understand super early in the morning. If you have to go have a nap, we're totally respectful of that. With that being said, let's transition over to our sponsor, Manscaped. Hey, folks, roses are red, violets are blue. Well, don't let wild hairs wreck you. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here with the best tools to get you ready for that special occasion. The V-Day, it's coming time soon, so join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, with our exclusive offer. Go over to manscaped.com and use the code NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping. Now, gentlemen, let me tell you something. Here in the Great White North, sometimes we get products a little bit later than other times. And just this week, I got an email from Manscaped, and I was super, super excited for it, because they're products that are finally available in Canada that before this time were only available in the US. So great example, in Canada now is available the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. And man, I absolutely love the products they have sent us before. They have also got a new premium deodorant to check out also. And I think I saw a second. Tim, did you have some chapstick? Yeah, you do. Some Manscaped chapstick. How do you like that Manscaped chapstick, by the way? Lip balm, I guess they would call it.
Yes, it is, especially in these colder months right now. It's been a godsend.
Absolutely. You're in the colder months. You're bumping up into that northern Canadian border, right? Or the northern US border, bumping to Canada. It's cold. Your lips are chapped. Absolutely. They have fantastic lip balm. I mean, oh my God, Tim's putting it on right there, right? He's just like, he's modeling it for you. For those of you that aren't watching, it's just like, man, it's sexiness. You know what I'm saying? He's getting ready for Valentine's Day. He's getting those lips ready for the smooches, which we appreciate as well. So again, I mean, they've got those amazing products, but of course, let's not forget also the amazing products like the Weed Whacker, the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, the Tool Shed. They've got all of your manscaping supplies, products, the whole thing. So again, head over to manscaped.com and use the exclusive code NINDADS, NINDADS for 20% off and free shipping with that code. Again, hey, your lady will thank you also. All right. Big thanks to Manscaped for their continued support. Hey, Tim, back to you.
Thanks, Justin. I always love those. I do miss the little animated stuff, though, that goes across the screen whenever we do those things. But anyway, Jesse, do you want to go over your Pokemon Go tour info?
Pikachu!
I hate you all.
Sure. So yeah, the other day, Niantic announced more additional information on the Pokemon Go Tour Johto. Pokemon from Kanto that has an evolution first discovered in Johto will be appearing during the event and available to everyone in the wild, regardless if an event ticket has been purchased or not. These Pokemon include Poliwhirl, Golbat, Gloom, Slowpoke, Onix, Chansey, Seadra, Scyther, Porygon, and Eevee. The walking requirement to evolve Eevee into Espeon and Umbreon will be removed during the event. Trainers will choose between a gold version or a silver version of the event, and will also choose between Chikorita, Cyndaquil, or Totodile to adventure with. The Pokemon chosen will be involved in the research tasks during the event, so choose wisely. Research tasks will include the following challenges: catching different species of Pokemon, evolving Pokemon, earning Stardust, taking Go snapshots, and defeating Team Go Rocket Grunts. Rewards for the research task will include items for evolving Pokemon, Rocket Radar pieces, an encounter with a shiny Gyarados, and an encounter with Celebi. If the Celebi is caught during the event, it will know the attack Magical Leaf. The event will be on Saturday, February 26th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. local time, and to take part in the event's full line of quests, the event ticket will cost $11.99 or in US dollars, or the equivalent in your local currency.
Nice. And as always, Pokemon Minute is never a minute, so or sometimes it's under. We never know.
I guess we can use that now since that's
Nintendo
right. No longer is.
Nintendo Minute
That's right.
is done.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, Jesse, for the Pokeminute. And actually, before we move on to the next area, I want to bring up something real quick. It kind of relates to the whole Xbox thing, and kind of jokingly, we could say Xbox could run E3 from now on, since they have the majority of the publishers now or developers. But what Nick and Sean, what are your thoughts on E3 this year? That it, especially with Jeff Grubb saying that E3 2022 looks like a digital mess and probably will be canceled.
I think it's unfortunate. I think it was Jesse who said, maybe somebody else can grab it. And who is that person that sits kind of as a neutral party that can host something like this that's this big? Why is it
besides Jeff Keighley?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, there you go. I also wonder, why is it that it's a mess? Like, why? I would love to know what logistically, is it a mess because they can't figure out the logistics? Is it a mess because they can't get platforms to commit anymore? Which would make sense. I mean, they're all doing their own thing now. Maybe they're like, listen, we don't need to pay you to show our stuff when we are obviously able to do it on our own, and that makes that makes a lot of sense. But it is unfortunate just from a video gamer enthusiast standpoint, because it's a great like second Christmas basically that I will surely miss.
Yeah, post merger, Microsoft could probably fill in 2 keynote slots.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah,
go ahead, Sean.
and so my thoughts on it are that E3 was like the expo. So it was a place where everybody could go to try the games, see the games being played, have time to maybe sit with a couple of the developer heads and talk to them, ask questions, the whole TED Talk Q&A kind of back and forth thing. Last year, E3 Digital was really nice because it gave us something to watch. But then after E3, Xbox did their own showcase. Certain developers did their own showcase. Nintendo had their own post E3 show with extra bits and pieces, including the Treehouse. Now, can E3 wants to do well to avoid being in that limelight, because when COVID does pass, and I said this in our podcast like earlier on today, once COVID isn't the issue and people can gather in large groups, E3 wants to run as the expo was, for people to come to and visit rather than sit back and watch. So it is a mess logistically, because obviously COVID ruined all the plans that they had in place to do it as an event that you can attend rather than an event that you can watch. If they miss 1 year, is it going to be bad for E3 as a brand that normally hosts this kind of expo? Yeah, it would be. But if then next year, they spend a bit more time working on what they can do next year, because hopefully by this time next year, COVID's not going to be as big as a threat as it is, and you can gather in larger groups than you can currently. And they run their physical expo, and bring it back to make it that big thing in gaming that hasn't happened for so long.
This is the 3rd year without having a physical E3, so
yeah,
we might have already crossed that threshold.
Yeah, that's why they need to be really careful. I think if they can push a digital one, they really need to push a digital one to keep their name, the hand in the pocket and the name going around. Because if they let it slip, it could, drastically, upsettingly, it could end D3 as a thing. Because like Nick says, it is the second Christmas. It's it's the June version of Christmas. So,
and that's where I think that it should be brought together still, whether it's E3 or Jeff Keighley or IGN. And even when Jeff Keighley was doing it, it would still seem like it was too spread out. So it's like, I don't care if it's E3 or not. What I care about is, as somebody who loves this hobby and wants to see that Christmas in June or July or whatever you want to call it, I want to see it brought together under an umbrella in a time frame that people like us can take, that if we wanted to take a week off or something like that, and enjoy the festivities or something. Whereas last year or the other years, it was like all summer long. It was all spread out, and you were like, okay, who's doing what, who's doing this? It needs to get better. Definitely.
That's for sure.
I don't know what the ESA's budget and financials looks like, but E3 is, I think, one of if not the biggest revenue generators for them each year over year. And with them not having an E3 for 3 years straight, what becomes of ESA in general?
Yeah, it's basically comes down to what we've all talked about and speculated every year, that this happens or didn't happen. And that is, how is ESA going to make their money going forward? They're not going to be able to get it from the video game companies anymore, it doesn't look like, since they can kind of do it all on their own, like you said, Nick. So what's the new model going to be, and how they're going to make money and do the things that they do? Because it makes sense. They need to have something that represents video games and stuff like that. So, but who's going to pay for what, and memberships and all that, I don't know their overall structure for that, but it definitely needs to change as far as the E3 goes.
I think it'd be great. I mean, and I don't know who has I don't know who the key players are in the video game industry to like pull this all off, other than the platform holders, really, probably Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, to say, listen, you're all going to do your own thing on your own platform, but let's mark off 2 weeks and figure out who's going to go win, and let's have it in a consolidated time frame. Yes. And so, let's not fight over like, you got to put your stuff on our platform so we can show it and blah, blah, blah. Just, get rid of that and say, listen, you do your own thing on your own platform, but we're going to do it within these 2 weeks. Go. Who wants to go first? I mean,
exactly.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah. And again, it needs to come together. Like this was one of the things I thought was funny. I think it was last year when Jeff Keighley was all against E3. It seemed like not so many words, but it was basically, I'm doing my thing. Here's the summer. I'm not doing E3 thing. And then, he was going all about his business, but then he always talks about the industry being one, and had, at the Game Awards, having all three of the, big three, I guess, if you will, gaming CEOs up there on the stage or whatever. So at one point, but he can't be the lead that I think he could be in doing this type of thing, where it's like, hey, let's make the industry, let's get together and even work with E3 if necessary. Or maybe E3 is the one that didn't want to work with him. I don't know, but it's just basically, maybe he's the one that can bring everybody together into that 2 week window, like you were suggesting, or even work with IGN to do that. I don't know, who knows, but instead of having all these separate things, let's, is there somebody who can manage it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, especially make it easier for everybody all around. It can't just be for the people in our hobby, but also for the companies to be able to spread that information out to the right people, so that people know, during this 2 week time, we know to come here and find out about what you're doing in the hobby I'm interested in.
Yeah, I mean, it really would behoove everybody to do that. It would be the E3 groundswell, but you wouldn't have the turf war of like, well, listen, I can just put this on my own platform. It makes sense, you would get a groundswell for those 2 weeks. It would probably bump people's numbers, but yeah, making that happen is not. You just have to find the right cogs in the video gaming industry to make anything like that happen.
Yeah. Maybe it's going to take a few years to come to that point, but maybe, and also a lot of voices being heard like ours to say, this is frustrating when you spread it out over 3 months. Let's bring it back down to, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, all right. Great discussion. I'm sure, the whole beat the dead horse type thing, but all right. So let's move on to Community Spotlight. All right. As usual, we always have our guests go first, and that would be Nick and Sean. Tell us about Game Pass news. I know Justin was gushing about you guys, but if there anything else you guys want to talk about and what you guys have been doing and get everybody hyped up for.
You want me to go or you want to go? Who's going?
Okay, so if you are a subscriber to our Twitch channel, I am slowly working on the emotes that are sliding in there. I've been dropping them every now and then in the Twitch chat for you guys. So yeah, I'm trying to entice people into being subscribers onto our service. So give me some time with that. It's a learning curve. I've never really done anything Twitch related other than sit and watch you guys or sit and watch my friends that stream. So I am trying to put a bit of glitter on that. And I am trying my hardest to develop a way that I can, because Nick kills it with the streams. He has his space in his basement. I don't have a space. I have to kind of sit on the living room floor, and that gets uncomfortable after a while, and you can see a lot of the living room. So I'm slowly working on plans and funds to build a small office in the garage. So as in terms of trying to get more streaming done for the guys that like to watch us, that's what I'm working on.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having us. You guys are awesome to have us come on for stuff like this, and to support us in the very beginning when we started this little deal up. We really appreciate you guys, obviously, and so just can't say enough about your guys' support in what we do. We're a podcast, we're a stream, we have a YouTube. Everything's Game Pass news. We got really lucky in that sense. You can find us on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter. Those are our three main areas that you can contact us. We also obviously have space on the Nintendo Dads Discord server, so feel free to jump over there and chat with us whenever. We talk about Game Pass, we talk about Xbox, and we're Nintendo guys. Every once in a while, I'm playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond with my son right now, so I give updates on that on a regular too. So it just kind of is what it is. But we try to stick as much as possible. We will always tell you what's coming and going on Game Pass. That is the crux of what we do. And we'll also, take the hit and play lawnmower simulator when nobody else wants to. So, that's what we're here for. We're the Kevlar jacket for cruddy Game Pass games. That's kind of what we do. And again, appreciate you guys having us on to talk about fun stuff like this.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent. So
a wild Justin appears.
Yeah, wild Justin. Throw a Pokeball at him.
It's ineffective.
Excellent. Yeah. I always like listening to you guys because you guys do give good information on the Game Pass games that come through, and also things that you guys experience from some of those what could be crappy games or some nice ones that you guys find too. So
Game Pass has this unique way of dropping a game that you think that'll be nothing, and then it's an absolute banger which captures you playing nearly 5 days in real time, like Grounded for Nick.
Yeah,
a game that you would never really take a second look at. So,
is there one game right now you guys are playing that you came across, or recently that you guys came across that was like, oh, hey, that's pretty good?
Nick's definitely got one. Dick's definitely got one at the moment that he's like gushing for.
Well, I mean, I've been playing the Nobody Saves the World game, and so I just actually started that, and that was a game. I will have something on YouTube in the next few days for it, but it started off. I was like, what? I was not prepared for it. You start off as a rat. Okay, this is not a spoiler. It happens in like the first 5 minutes. You're like a person, and you have no pants. And then all of a sudden you're a rat. By the way, this is by Drinkbox Games from the Guacamelee people. And I was I don't want to be a rat. This is ridiculous. This game sucks. So and I was like, I don't know. I'm done. But then like 45 minutes in, I'm totally into it. By the way, it's a top-down RPG. You're crusading and exploring through the map to find I don't even know what the hey I am finding now. Shards is what I'm trying to find. But I'm having so much fun. I'm gnawing at enemies and trying to figure out how the attacks work. And so I've just been enjoying that a lot. And so
nice. Yeah. Sean, you jumped into Splunky too, right?
Yeah. Thanks to the community creator Andros for pointing me in the direction of Spelunky 2. I now have a love-hate relationship for that game. But I'd never thought I would. So, but yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's a very well-made game. For one of those rerun kind of crawlers, a bit like Hades, but without that you need to die and revive to keep going and get further on. This is one of those where if you die, you die. You go back to the beginning, start all over again, and basically battle a completely changed mechanic. Different tunnels, different ways to go. I'm absolutely loving it because, it's pretty much all I've played at the moment. Other than Beat Saber, it's all I've played.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on to the show and chatting with us about the Game Pass or the Xbox news this week, the big news. And like you guys said, you guys are part of the NINDADS family of podcasts. And not only you guys are part of that, but we have Retro Logic guys out there doing their show, and they just released episode 66. And then we also have the NINDADS After Dark, where they just dropped episode 90 as well. And lots of wonderful talk over there. So I'd say go check them out in your podcast feeds as well there. So, and then speaking of community, that you guys are all a part of, and that all of the Nintendo Dads family podcasts are a part of. There's one community request that I wanted to make to our listeners, because I was listening today to episode 174 today, way back, because it was brought up because of the Kirby talk, and that episode was called Kirby lore. It was like
Kirby's lore or something. Lore.
Yeah, the deep in the Kirby's lore or something like that. And actually, when I was listening to it, I don't think hardly anything was mentioned about Kirby. So, but it was how we come up with the show titles. But anyways, I was listening to that one, and one of the community letters that came up was from TJ, and it made me think. And instead of hearing what Switch isn't doing or what it can't do compared to other systems, I would like to hear what it has done for you since the hybrid system has come out. So like TJ, when he wrote in that episode, he said him and his wife sponsored and started a Nintendo Switch club at their school. And they saw a lot of introverted kids come, kind of just open up because of that club. And because of the Nintendo Switch, they would all bring in their Nintendo Switches and play games and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think I've heard a lot of stories like that again recently. So I wanted to reach out to the community and say, hey, if you can, drop your stories in our Discord channel or email them to nintendodads@gmail.com, because I would love to hear more of those stories again. We just haven't heard them in a long time.
You've got a real life story sat in front of you. So, I mean, I started listening to the Nintendo Dads podcast because of the release of the Nintendo Switch. I wanted to get back into the Nintendo world in a big way. I absolutely loved the Wii. Unfortunately, I didn't drop into the Wii U era, which when listening to all the podcasts prior to the Switch release, I didn't miss a right lot. So I'm pretty glad I did that. But buying the Switch, listening to you guys, playing the games that you guys suggested as a ghoster in the background, I just listened. I didn't do a right lot. I then, subscribed to the Patreon service, jumped into the Discord, started talking with a few people. And then because I absolutely love the show, subscribed to the highest level I could and, got the producer level that you guys do, and came onto your show for the first time of me ever doing any form of live chat or anything like that. Because I hated that. I mean, absolutely hated hearing my own voice, talking, things like that. And then off the back of that, this awesome guy, Nick, got in touch with me. I was like, hey, look, do you want to be involved in doing a podcast about Animal Crossing? I was like, I was kind of on the side about getting this game, but yeah, I'll jump in. I'll go both feet first and play it. And now, like 3 years later, nearly, I see this guy every week. We chat. He's brought me out. I do
poor dude. You see me every week.
I do a lot more talking now. So I'm one of those. I am the introvert child of the Nintendo Dads. Thanks to the Switch coming out and buying into it, listening to you guys, getting on the hype for content creating. That's where I am now. It's that's the positivity of the Switch, along the side of things like we now have 3 Switches in the entire house. One for me, one for the wife, one for my daughter. We play Animal Crossing together. We play Mario Party together. It's given a digital means of playing together as a family. So yeah, the Switch, it's like I put in the chat, Nintendo there's a space in my heart and always will be for Nintendo. And it's only ever done positive things for me. So
yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Sean. I think it's great.
Thanks a lot.
You're talking about this kind of this interesting experience. I had one not too long ago. On a Sunday, typically we have some friends come over, and their son comes over and he brings the Switch, and he's really into Fortnite right now. And so what he'll do is he'll come in, and we have my main living room. There's a big screen TV where the Switch dock is, and he'll plug in his Switch, and then my daughter will take the Switch that was there, and then my other daughter will go grab the OLED or the Switch Lite, and they all sit in the room together, and they're all gaming, playing trios together, and you can hear them calling, and they're like, "Oh, go there, get this. Can I share? Can you drop me this?" And like, you stand back for like the dads, the moms aren't executing on it. They're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like they're setting it up. They're learning how to game together. They're learning how to work as a team together. And I think it's because of the mobility of the Switch, right? They're handheld devices, right? That they're all easily able to experience that moment together, which is such a really cool really cool experience. Like you couldn't really, he couldn't lug in an Xbox and grab another TV somewhere else, right? Like you shouldn't have that experience, but because the portability of it, they're all able to experience that. And I think that's super cool.
Excellent. And that's what I want to hear again from all the community is send us in those community stories, because we eat that up here, and we'll share some of them on the next maybe few episodes over time, depending on how many we get. So love to hear them. So again, send them in our Discord channel if you're in there, or straight to nintendodads@gmail.com if you could. Speaking of community, some of the things that we get from there, we have a couple things from community as far as questions go. We've got one from Discord from, of course, the person who sends us one almost every week, Mecha Dragon.
Yes.
Oh, Mecha!
His question: Microsoft low-key mentioned how part of this transaction with Activision was to get into the metaverse, right? Are you pro metaverse or against it? Are any of you dads fearful that in the future we'll all be wearing headsets to go anywhere? Because that's what they make it sound like it is, like some kind of actual virtual world, like Ready Player One, right? Or the worst case scenario, you'll become like my mom and just not even bother to learn it and just do things the old fashioned way. What do you guys think? The metaverse.
I have a question regarding what is a metaverse.
Up to date.
No. So
you're living part of it with your virtual reality.
Yeah,
you're living the start of it.
If that's the way it's going to go, then I can honestly say that wearing a headset and playing is going to be the way forward. The experiences that the Oculus is currently giving me, which is made by Meta on Facebook, is unreal. I mean, I get paid on Monday. When I get paid on Monday, I'm buying 2 games. Resident Evil 4 for the VR because I want to read.
God, it's ridiculous. Nobody should play Resident Evil in virtual reality. That's just like
yes, they should. And the person that's sitting with him and watching it needs to record it so that we can see the reactions that person has. Because I love you to death, so Sean, much.
But man,
yeah. I mean, they've taken a game that it's old in comparison, like PlayStation 3 old, and building that up. They've reimagined it for the VR. And to answer Mecha Dragon's question there, it's on the Oculus Quest 2. The other game I am waiting for is Among Us VR, because I think Among Us is a great game and the mechanic behind it is fantastic. And then to be able to play that like virtual reality in 3D.
Looks hilarious, yes.
Yeah. So they're the 2 games that I'm trying to put some money to one side for. But if that's the way that gaming's going to go and you're going to wear a headset to be more immersed, bring it on. Anything where you can be more immersed into the atmosphere of gaming.
For those not watching,
virtual reality tongue sword sounds great. I'm sorry.
For those not watching, the reason why I laughed was because Nick's just head dropped like, oh no.
I mean, a virtual reality tongue sword. Give me a break. That thing is the like nightmare fuel. It's horrible. Nobody should do that. Anyways, God bless you. I hope you have a lot of fun.
Yeah. But no, I mean, okay, I go back to playing Ocarina of Time as a kid on the N64. I can remember sitting there, and I used to play that game so much, and I used to be so immersed in that anything I can get that kind of feeling for a game again, I want to go for it. If that's the way that gaming's going to go, bring it on. I mean, yeah.
I think it comes with anything, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm willing to learn about the metaverse and be a part of it and game in it if it's going to be fun, as long as I'm able to still get myself out of it and not let it take over my world, my real world, and my family and all that kind of stuff.
Or pull a sword art online.
Right. So I understand where the technology is going. I understand because I have to learn, and we're in my day job in the payments industry. I'm learning a lot about cryptocurrency, NFTs, all that kind of stuff, and how it's going to apply to a lot of this metaverse stuff too. So even like this is a topic that I'm sure this is a topic I want to talk about with the Nintendo Dads when we have more time, but it is about, the whole cryptocurrency, the blockchain stuff, about being able to eventually get to the point where you buy digital games and you actually own something, even though it's digital, and be able to turn that around just like you can used games. You can resell that digital content because it has a code on it that's yours that you can sell. So there's a lot more to it. I just kind of oversimplified it, but there's a lot to be said there. There's a lot going on. And there's going to be a point though, when we all get older and be like, back in my day, all I had to do was this and that, and then still want to do that. And that's why I think that's why we hold on to the retro games, right? So, because we like to be able to keep it simple too. So,
see, sorry, Nick. Come
I think somebody is going to have to be the Apple of the metaverse. That person that was like, we were like, well, I got to put this on a server up there. And then how does this work? And Apple's like, no, it's a cloud. You put it up there. It rains back down on you on all your devices. You're good. And people were like, frick, yeah, I get it. And it was, that's it. Because listen, I did the sandbox thing. I was talking about the sandbox. Snoop Dogg bought a house in a sand. I'm like, all right, what is this? I'm going to search this. I went on there. I'm not like super techie, but I'm not dumb when it comes to this. And I got on there. One, it was super slow for me to even try to log in and make a user. And then it's like, listen, do you want this type of wallet, this type of wallet, this type of wallet, or you want crypto, or else you're not doing jack? What do you want to do? And I'm like,
yeah, it's
I don't have. Yeah, I was like, I don't have any idea what is going on here. So I'm gonna just like that Simpson slowly walking to the hedge thing. That was me, man. I was like, it's time for me to. I'm somewhere I shouldn't be. Have a good day. So it's not. It's like I think Tim yeah, Tim's got it, man. He's just walking away, and his green screen or whatever, his virtual green screen's coming on. So I think it'll be there someday, but somebody like Facebook or some other company like that is going to have to come up with the Apple explanation for me and going to have to make it a lot easier than what it is. And when they do that, I'm going to be making some money because people are going to be like, I get it. We're good. Let's do it. So that's my take on the metaverse.
I've tried to get into the digital currency and crypto. I started a wallet. I logged onto a couple of things and I got as far as that. And then I was like, okay, how do I buy this? And then it was like, that's as far as I got. So if Tim, you're going to want to do some kind of this is how you get into crypto style episode, I would listen to that. And I'd like that quite a lot.
Yeah. I've been soaking it all up right now. So still trying to put it all together.
If you want to talk about generations moving forward, I look at my dad, my dad's in his mid 50s and he streams. He's, gaming granddad is his Twitch handle, and he streams playing Call of Duty and stuff like that. So he watches gaming grandma who does a lot of Call of Duty streaming, and he looks at her and he's like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. Right. And then he's learned how to work OBS, and he's taught himself how to do this, and he's made himself by 3D printing and soldering circuits together. He's made himself some nice fancy lights for his gaming area, and he streams, starting to try and stream that. So, I can only want to be like him. And in the future, if this is the way things are going, it's going crypto. I want to be able to learn. I want to be able to sit back. I want to be able to do it. Because I have to try and keep. I've got 3 kids, 15, 10, and 4. I'm going to have to try and keep up with what they're doing. So it's the only reason why I got into things like TikTok. Because, I wanted to know what was going on, what my daughter was watching. So, got to kind of live with that. So, and we are that generation that are adaptable to change in things like that and want to learn.
Heck yeah.
Nick took the time and knows where the resources to go and research and look into these things. So we've grown up with that. We've grown up with Wikipedia being the way of knowing out information, or asking Google. And then you've got all your AI devices that live in your house that you can ask questions. We've kind of grown up in a generation where technology is there for us to use. So we're going to continue to use it as we, get more experience and level up more.
It blew my mind when I had to go to the library and put in a CD-ROM into the computer so I could search stuff on that CD-ROM. And then when it wasn't on that CD-ROM, I had to put in another CD-ROM, unless it was a bigger library that had the cartridges of CD-ROMs. Then I could search 5 CDs at once.
Oh, wow.
That's when it started. So, but yeah, so I think a lot of us, especially in this industry, especially with gaming and stuff like that, we're probably more apt to evolve with it. And then there's the casual gamer who may not. But as Nick said, if there's a company out there that makes it easy for that casual person to take it on, then more than likely you'll get a lot of people taking it that way. So Mecca, for your mom, is it just because she's older and thinking old fashioned way, or is it because nobody's taking the time to reach out to somebody in her age range or whatever to teach her that? So
I think you also just get to an age where you just don't give a damn. Right. And so what I mean by that is someone like here's I'm gonna give you an honest story here. I love our friends over at Nintendo Pals. And so Andros and I have some good DMs conversations back and forth. And he's like, you guys should get on TikTok. And I was like, no. All right. I'm not doing it. It's too much. That is a road too far for me. I can't learn another social media thing. I'm done. I'm sure there's lots of cool things, but I don't get it. And I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to no. It ain't gonna happen. And I felt like I just turned 40, but that appears to be the road that I'm like, no, that's the bridge I'm not crossing. We're done with this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm willing to do the TikTok thing. It's just the time. Like, if
ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to announce our new social media coordinator, Timothy Alf. Watch for all the TikToks in the Nintendo Dad Squadron.
Then there's gonna be like Tim can't play games anymore because he's doing all this social media stuff.
We need to get Dan that has like the video Dan from RetroLogic to put like Micah and Andros on a Diddy and Donkey Kong walking up to Cranky, and then just put like Justin's face on the Cranky Kong. And we're like, bah, 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 because that's how I envisioned it.
Yeah,
you should get on TikTok.
Yes. We're not doing that, Andros.
I mean,
yes, woo! Good job, man. That was pretty impressive.
Solo is trying to learn how to do. I will never finish Outer Worlds. Solo, I will never finish Breath of the Wild. If I'm still playing 5 years of that.
So I'm trying to get us into YouTube Shorts. While I was doing the Spelunky stream the other day, Hambo and Johnny was like, a death montage of this would be great. And I kind of looked at it and thought, it would be great. Now I need to go and learn how to cut the video, make the video move so it's following the character around, do that, and turn it into a YouTube short, because that is like the TikTok for YouTube. And like, I look through streamers' channels and like they might have 500 views of them playing a 3-hour game. They might have like 1,000 views of them doing a 30-minute preview, but then they'll have 2.5 thousand people watch their YouTube short. That's how YouTube's currently breaking in new and small channels for subscriptions. So I'm now trying to challenge that.
I definitely get it. I definitely understand. But I'm just like, I don't give any F's anymore. Like, this ain't no, we're not doing this. Right? Like, I'm sure someone would be like, no, listen, Justin, if you spend 5 minutes a day doing this, I can guarantee you that your YouTube subscription will be over 100,000 within 3 months. Even then, I'd probably be like, that feels like a lot of effort for me right now. And I just don't have the energy for this. So we're hiring a new youthful intern. We're looking to bring someone on board who wants to do the Tic Tacs and the tacos and the shorts and the Snapchatos. I don't know what the hell this stuff is. That's what we're doing. All right. With the Instas, right? Or hiring a new coordinator.
The Reels.
There is so many of them, though, man. Especially when you're just like, you're just a couple of guys. It's like, I gotta like pick and choose the battles here, man. But that's a different conversation.
Yes, yep. That is a whole other show to talk about the technologies between what we do and also even gaming as well, as we talked about the metaverse there, bringing it back to that. So with that, that's the question from Discord. I do believe we have one voicemail, and then after that, we're done. So voicemail, sir.
Hey guys, it's me Christian, and I had a question for you guys. So I've been playing a video game on my Switch that recently just came out. It's from a YouTuber named James Rolls. He's more commonly known as the Angry Video Game Nerd. And that got me thinking about you guys. Is there any way that you guys can make a video game of your personalities that you have on your podcast? I think that would be awesome. And also, what kind of game would it be? Would it be a first-person shooter, a puzzler game? Would it be a platformer game? Just let me know. I think that would be something everybody would enjoy. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great day, and thanks again for your awesome podcast, which, by the way, I shouted out on how awesome you guys were on the Nintendo Pals review. So I was just like, oh, yeah, I got to put that in there. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Don't let the Dads After Dark make a game. Don't do it. That game will involve nudity and killing small animals.
Yeah, a combination of Zoo Tycoon and Lawnmower Simulator.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
And Leisure Shoot Larry, all put into one.
Yeah. It's a great question, Christian. So, what would your guys' video games be?
I don't know. I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll feel like I'll kick this off. If let's say we had to build a video game specifically about Nintendo dads, and it was our small little enterprise, it would be like Overcooked, in where one person tells somebody else orders and asks them to do stuff, and they have to run around and try and do those things. So it'd be like, Tim, here's a thumbnail, go do this. Jesse, here's a soundbite, do this. Justin, send a PR email, do this. Marty,
oh, that hurts. It's so true.
Right, like it would essentially be like a task based, and like the clock is ticking. I don't know, the whole building's falling down. There's like other podcasters attacking. Marty, go figure out how to use Tic Tacs, right, and all this kind of stuff. So I think it'd just be a chaotic couch co-op game, is what I would think.
I was thinking
hilarious.
I was thinking something along the lines of like, that's
really
basically the origins of Doki Doki Panic. It was like 4 guys on a TV show. Each one was a character, but we would still have separate game elements for each of us. Like we could have, so like there would
That's
be.
where I was going to go with it.
There'd be a driving segment where you have to go to a paintball game and play your shooty games with other people. And then, like reloading, you might have to solve a puzzle. Something, kind of mix up the genres out that we like. And there's got to be a wrestling gag for Marty.
Yeah, I was thinking of along the same lines, where it would be each of our characters in the Nintendo Dads game has to accomplish something in their favorite genre of games. So like Justin's would be a first person shooter type thing. Jesse's would be the puzzle solving type thing, and Marty's would be a roguelite or like type shmup or something like that, kind of like your Gungeon game. So and then mine would be probably driving a race car or something like that. So but create a story around that to where each of those 4 elements, and then even where there would be some hidden areas, like you would run into Zach or Gary, and they do different kind of gameplays when you ran into them, or
bonus worlds.
Bonus worlds or something like that too. So
I think you've made a game. Yeah. Good news. Nintendo has got the basis for you to do this. They brought this out last year. You just go out there, get your nodes on.
That's right.
And, put them all in the right spot, and you got yourself a Nintendo Dads game.
Well, I was actually also looking at the play date as well, because they just dumped their beta for their software there for creating games on their play date Pulp.
And you're able to actually develop the games with a browser, so you don't need
in the browser. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like way too much work.
Right. So again, I would not be able to play any
Justin's
games.
back to the cranky Kong.
I would not be
We're
able to
not
play
doing
any
this.
games. I'd just be doing social media stuff and now creating a game for the Nintendo Dads. So
Sean, I don't got anything for us. I'm sitting here like racking my brain. I'm sorry. I got nothing. We'd be
I
a
don't know.
walking simulator. I have no idea. I just made that up.
So no, like mine would be some kind of survival horror game with like notes of sandbox style crafting games like littered all over the place, and I'm trying to find Nick in some kind of haunted horror house where Nick's would be literally like a sandbox style play game where there's a dark switch to it where you'll find myself. So we're trying to rescue each other from opposing worlds. So
Yeah, Sean, if I'm in a horror game, I've already been eaten by a zombie. Okay, I'm just going to be real honest. It's done. You're not going to find me. The moment you turn the game on, it's just going to be me just being torn to shreds.
Sean's looking for
zombie.
Nick,
No.
and Nick comes out.
No,
exactly.
Nick is the final boss.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Sean, it'd be like full on Shaun of the Dead. I'd end up like rescuing him, keeping him in the shed. So I could
There
play
you go.
games with him.
Yeah.
That's right. Perfect.
I don't know anything you just said, but it sounds horrible. So
Oh,
that's great.
man, Shaun of the Dead
You
is an
need to
amazing
see
film.
that movie. Yes. Shaun of the
So
Dead is
funny. It's a
awesome.
comedy. It's not a horror. It's
It's so good, Nick. Really legitimate.
Yeah. Sounds great. So I'm in a shed and I'm a zombie. I'm totally probably not going to watch it. But hey, that's
I'm an
better
Asian
than I
ginger
got. So
guy
let's
with a
do
dead
that.
friend.
I'm a dead friend.
Well, that's our show, everybody.
Game Pass News was great. It was the end of Game Pass News right here.
Thanks for coming on, Sean and Nick, as always, and especially with that breaking news again, talking with our community on that as well. So thanks for stopping by and doing that. So
Thanks for having us, man. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Can't thank you enough.
Yeah, that bit of news, I think we're going to be talking about for a few weeks to come on our podcast. So yeah, there's a lot more ground to cover on that.
Right.
It
And
is.
I'm sure there's going to be more things that Phil's going to say and others are going to say. So all kinds of stuff. So, well, everybody, that's episode 359. Ready to go. We had basically thanks for coming by and watching, everybody who stopped by in our Twitch stream and YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for stopping by in all those places. We have almost 6,000 subscribers, I think, in our YouTube. I don't know if that number has been updated, but we got 5,943 subscribers. We're getting closer. So if you're out there and you have a YouTube channel, YouTube account and can subscribe to us and haven't yet, please do, so we can break that 6,000 mark. And on Twitch side, we have over.
It's like 70% of the people who watch the videos aren't subscribed. For some.
Okay,
That
well, there we
hurts,
go.
folks. That hurts.
Everybody, start subscribing, smashing that
It's free on
subscribe
YouTube.
button. Yes. And on Twitch, we have 1,197 followers. So we're just a couple shy of getting 1,200 followers there. And again, followers, we have 18 Twitch subscribers though. So if any of those followers have Prime, Amazon Prime, use that to give us a boost there in the subscribers. And you can get into our Discord as well and be able to participate in there. So, and as Justin had mentioned earlier, don't forget about our discount at Manscaped. You get 20% off when you use, and free shipping when you use code NINDADS, NINDADS. We also have that same code over at Gooder, so don't forget about them too. Check out our merch store via nintendodads.org/merch. T-shirts and stickers and all that fun stuff. Even for these guys, for Sean and Nick, they have their stickers and shirts and all that kind of stuff over there as well. So go check that out. Huge thanks to our Patreons for Dave, Antonio, and Solo Something. Thank you guys, as always, for being our Patreon producers. And thanks to all our Patreons for everything you do for us and keeping our lights on. Check out our website, again, nintendodads.org, for our latest YouTube videos, tweets, and podcasts. Links to all the social medias and a link, which I think I still have to update for Extra Life, but we do have an Extra Life team that you can join for November. So don't forget about that. It's never too early to start talking about that. We also, again, have the merch shop over there at our nintendodads.org website. Or you can go find us in most places like on Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube by typing Nintendo Dads and finding us in all of those places. And maybe eventually TikTok. I don't know. We'll still talk about that.
We're not talking about it. We're not doing it.
Email us at nintendodads@gmail.com if you have anything there, or go the old-fashioned way and go voicemail at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music throughout the show. And don't forget to download us or any of our other family of podcasts on your choice of podcast app, like CastBox, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, or Spotify. Well, actually, it's not even Google Play Music anymore, right? It's YouTube Music. So go there and all of those places to be able to download our podcasts. Thanks again for Game Pass News for dropping by. For Jesse, myself, and Justin, and our absent Marty, who is off and about doing who knows what. Thanks for stopping by. Check y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
You got to get your together. You know what I'm saying?